How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am the other guy, Tim Wagner. I don't know. It's like, I think you're the host, and I'm just here.
I think we kind of went over that in the last episode, which is episode 44, by the way. Tim, we are on episode 45. Can you believe it?
45.
For all you
Nice.
outside of Minnesota, you're just not going to have to, just deal with that one. I don't know if you get it.
Yeah, I don't know. That jingle might be carrying over to other spots because you never know, but probably not. That's the Channel 45 jingle.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many you got Channel 45? Leave it in the comments.
I would think there's got to be more than one Channel 45, but who knows what that channel actually is.
Owns it to make that jingle useful again.
Oh, dude, because they move around all the time. I remember just like getting my mind blown when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like going to like a hotel room in a different state.
Yep.
You're just like, Channel 5 is their Channel 4 here.
Right. You were like,
what?
Regionality just didn't sink in as a kid. No. Like the whole world just revolved around your little, and then you just started moving around the country. And you're like,
yeah, mind blown. CBS is Channel 4 at home, and ABC is 5.
Right.
Here, ABC is 5. No, I said that backwards. Here, ABC is Channel 9.
Right.
And CBS is Channel 5.
Yeah.
And you're just like, huh?
What is happening? Oh my God. The internet has changed everything now. Kids don't even know what we're talking about anymore. There's some 16-year-old listening to us going like, what the fuck are these old guys talking about?
Yeah, there's what are channels? I don't understand.
Did I subscribe to it?
Yeah, right. Oh, exactly.
Channel 45.
Yeah, you can subscribe to channel. There's just numbers. Bro, they must be old as fuck. They just got 45. Dude, that's had to have been taken by somebody else already. They must be so old.
They must be so old. They must get on YouTube in like 2010.
Yeah. This is crazy, dude. So my buddy is like, he couldn't even be Joe 45. He's like Joe 45, 24, Cool Joe.
Oh, in case you didn't know, this is the Real AF TV podcast where we're talking about fishing first and then a random take. We drop the podcast in parts on the off week because we drop the full podcast every other week on Monday. And then in our off week, we will drop the fishing topic on Wednesday and the random take on Friday over on YouTube. Wanted to just get that out of the way to say we also begin the podcast with fishing news. Fishing news. So I'm going to get my spectacles out for this one, Tim.
Oh, the paper's coming out. If you audience listeners couldn't tell, that's a newspaper.
Gone fishing or learning to. Oh, that's not good. That's not good audio, is it?
No, it was muffling you a bit.
Call it a PSA if you will, but the Real AF TV podcast is about learning, making mistakes, and just trying to get people outside, kind of the fishing. Mm-hmm. By the way, this is totally a prop. Those are just blue light blocker glasses that I wear from my 9 to 5. But seriously, the local paper put out a article, did an article, the local paper down here in the Southwest Metro. Because that's literally the name of the media company, Southwest Metro Media. Yeah, they had this article, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be our fishing news this week, and that's why I say maybe call it a PSA or whatever. But the fishing, a family fishing academy is happening in Chaska, Minnesota, on Sunday, June 5th at 2 p.m. And basically, there's a park there, there's a pond there. Mm-hmm. And it started out teaching kids, and then they were like, well, the parents are just hanging around in the background. I think they're learning too, but they're just hanging out back there. Let's just make it kind of like a whole family thing. And so though you have to pay $10 per child, that's no big deal. Head down the old Fireman's Park there in the middle of Chaska.
That's really pretty much a damage deposit. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well put. Well put. But things like that happen wherever you are. So that's the thing, I think, why I say make it a PSA, but also, or you may call it a PSA, just like, hey, this is what we're about. But go look that stuff up. I hope that you
Mhm.
listen to the Real AF TV podcast. I hope that we give you stuff that makes you excited to go fishing.
Yeah.
Um, but also, don't forget the DNR does a lot of stuff, and these like
Mhm.
local fishing events like this, they happen.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on your local media, man. They'll tell you
Right.
where to go.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, like, saying that the DNR does a lot of stuff, because I feel like sometimes the way people talk about DNR is almost like, like the same way some people have a bad idea of like what cops are. Like they're
Yeah,
not there
or
just to
social
tell
workers,
you.
right? Like child protective services.
Yeah,
Like they think
yeah,
all social workers are CPS coming to take your
yeah.
kids.
Right. They're making sure that you follow the rules, because the rules are there for a reason.
Right.
And other than that, they want to help, like
Yeah.
the DNR wants you to fish. That's why they exist. Like they're there to
Yeah.
help the fisheries get better and stuff. And the rules are in place because they want to make the fisheries as good as they can be. And if you overfish them, it's going to be a bad thing. So they're trying to hook you up.
Right.
And that's a brilliant idea to have the parents jump in on too. Because I never
Yep.
even thought about it until you just said it now. But if you're bringing your kids to a
Mhm.
pond and
Mhm.
paying $10 to have somebody else help them show how to fishing or
Mhm.
how to go fishing,
Right.
you probably don't know how to go fishing.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd just be showing your kid how to fish.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to be like, get in on this, parents. I'll teach you guys too.
Right. Right.
Because there's no better way to learn than hands on. Like
Oh, for
the
sure.
parents probably like looking over the kid's shoulder, like, what's he doing now? Oh, you
What's
hit the
that?
button. I know when you let it go, it casts. And then the parents probably like, I think I got an idea of how that casting works, but my dumb shit kid can't figure it out. So we're not really, we're kind
Right.
of a stalemate here. That's a joke for anybody listening out there. I'm not mean like that to children to their face. I will talk shit about a kid behind their back.
Yeah. Kids are
They're
dumb.
dumb, dude. Hey, the kids, they do stupid shit. I gotta tell you real quick, since we're talking about dumb kids. My son, very smart. I love him to death. He does dumb shit sometimes. We got him one of
Yeah.
those like punching bags.
Mm.
Like the
Mhm.
blow up where it's like an animal or whatever. He's got like a
Yeah.
T-Rex punching bag.
Yeah, it used to be a clown back in our
Yeah,
day.
I have a
Always a
clip.
clown for some reason in the '90s. I don't know why,
Right,
but it
right.
was.
Dude, I don't know. That's what you wanted to punch. Like, what do kids want to punch? Clowns. They probably didn't even hesitate. Clowns.
Right.
They want to punch clowns. Now kids just want to punch anything. But he went to headbutt it. And he's like, watch this, headbutt. And he turns around and he's like facing the wrong way. And then he goes, oh, I did that wrong. And then turns around to like, so he like had his back to the thing and he said headbutt and then realized that he's like, I'm not facing it.
Oh,
And then had to turn around. It's like,
right. Right.
that's a pretty dumb move.
No. Headbutts go forward, not backwards.
Headbutt go, and he didn't even try to swing it backwards. Just kind of set it, stood up, and goes, "Oh yeah, no, I got to turn around here.
Hold on. This is all
This
backwards.
is all backwards." It's one of those moments where he figures it out. It's like, what am I doing? But
Right, right.
any adult would never even like that. Never even cross your mind. Somebody
Right, right.
says, "Hey, show me how to do a headbutt." It's pretty, immediately.
Right, just there it is.
Right, right.
It just happened.
Yeah, pretty easy. You never go, okay, hold on a second, turn around. Oh shit. Then turn back around.
Well, hold on. I'm supposed to be facing you. Let's try that
Oh,
again.
damn. Thought I had it. So,
Oh, man.
anyways, derailed the train a little bit there.
No, that I mean that was it really. Yeah, I just because there's things like that all the time going on, and you just have to go look. Like the person listening in Texas right now, right? They
Yep.
definitely have something like that going on in your area. These wildlife conservation, departments that have been set up. They
Yeah.
do these things because, again, just like Tim said, it's like they want you out there fishing. And that's why the Real AFTV podcast is free. It's just out there, Spotify, Amazon, wherever,
Right.
because that's what we want to help spread. We just think that our way of going about it, being goofy and talking about punching clowns in the 90s
Right.
helps engage and in a different way than most people are. And
What? Yeah.
and that these are good things to go to, find these clinics and stuff like that, and hopefully that our goofy humor and way of presenting this is enough motivation to help you go seek these things out, and maybe even have a little knowledge going in. Who knows how involved you could be? Maybe you're gonna the DNR
Right.
officer is gonna be like, hey man, the other guy didn't show up today, can you help me out?
Right. Yep. And we just talking, we're
Yeah.
not trying to, this humor isn't always just trying to get you engaged and trying to, we're just having fun. But
Oh yeah,
also,
for sure.
like Josh was saying with the DNR and stuff, keep an eye on things. So talking about the DNR, like with the rules and play and stuff, when you break those rules, sometimes they confiscate your stuff. And when they confiscate your stuff, they sell it at auction. So that's another thing. If you're trying to get into the fishing game, you don't have a lot of money, a lot of times you can go there. I think some of those rods and reels they give away for free because it's nothing special. It's just like, we're not going to make any money off of this. Nobody wants to pay for it. Here's a couple of rods and reels. If it's nicer stuff, $5, $10, I don't know. I think it's an auction most of the time, but like a lot of times there's a lot of stuff there. And I think there's a lot of people that go there because they also have like firearms at those auctions.
Yep.
So I don't even think there's a lot of people there for the fishing stuff.
The fishing stuff, they go for the guns, right? Yeah.
Yep. Everybody there trying to get a couple of cheap guns. So
good point. And that's actually an idea for another episode. We got to do kind of more of a budget, because we've done episodes before where it's just like, hey man, we acknowledge that hobbies are expensive, that we've talked a lot. We talk a lot about that, how they can be expensive, but that's a nice thing about fishing too, is it can be cheap. I mean, $10 to, teach somebody to fish, the old saying, teach a man to fish,
right.
Like $10 ain't that much when you think about it in that perspective.
Oh yeah, especially when you look at how much it is to buy fish. The cost of fish is crazy. Like if you want to eat fish, it's going to cost you like chunk of smoked salmon, like, I don't know, 6-ounce piece. That's like $6. You're paying like $1 an ounce for a chunk of smoked salmon. Right. Can you imagine living on a lake where you could catch a salmon and then just be able to fillet that and smoke it yourself? A small salmon is going to give you like 2 pounds of fillet.
Yeah, I was going to say way more than what you just said.
A lot.
Definitely not 6 ounces.
No, I've thought about it before. Like if you're going to buy the meat from the supermarket or whatever, and you go like fishing on a charter out there, like the charters aren't always cheap, but you put a couple of fish in the boat and you get to keep those fillets. It's just like going to the supermarket, except for you got to go and have fun.
Right. You pay for the experience and the meat. And so that's like a win-win. Like the fun came for free, basically.
Yep. Just make sure you have a deep freezer, a lot of people to share it with, because if you catch a couple of big salmon, that's going to be a lot. But we should definitely do an episode on budget, because I am a budget buyer.
Oh, for sure.
I got the tips. I know where all the bargain bins are.
And if this is your first episode and you didn't know that, that is awesome. Thank you. Share with a friend that shared with you, because the Real AFTV podcast is growing and we would love for you to help us keep it growing. So let's get into housekeeping. We got Monster Bass and of course our Patreon on for the break, but of course we'll get to the break. The contact, we have a contact page. It's realaf.tv/contact, where you can give us feedback. So if you're new and you want to give us feedback on the podcast, please do. We read them. We get those emails. We read them, or DM us on Instagram, Twitter. That's where we're most active. We're on Facebook too. Look there, and just message us.
Yeah,
we out there. One more thing.
Yep.
Sam, if you're listening, shout out to you guys. But that's it. I'm just gonna leave it at that, man. That's your private business. But
private.
But we're gonna shout out to you.
Shout out, Sam.
What up? Okay, we are gonna talk about fishing opener and eaters in the first half, in the fishing topic. And in the second half of the podcast, we are going to talk about mobile games, mobile gaming. Now, this episode is the first time we're going to try a new format. Not a new format, a little bit of a new format. Here's what I'm going to try to do. We're going to go long on fishing like we always do. We're just going to let that shit ride.
Yeah.
We're going to tighten up that random take. We're going to try to keep it. Flex out of this shirt. I'm going to flex out right now. I'm going to flex out of this right now. So if you come for the fishing, which is the majority of what we want you to come for, that will be the bigger topic. And then we're going to try to tighten up that random take, but still get you interested in mobile games. Because if you didn't know, over here, we like video games too.
Yep.
So, Tim, opener.
Yes, sir.
Fishing opener.
The fishing
did
opener.
you get out? How about that opener, huh?
That's an opener. I did not.
I thought so, and that's why I also turned it into eaters, this topic.
It broke
man.
my heart because it's the first time I didn't get out on opener since I can't remember when.
Yeah.
I thought so. I just have a little boat. I've had bad luck with boats. I've bought a couple of used boats and my boats crap out and then I have to get rid of them, which is not supposed to be the case. People are supposed to be able to buy shitty old boats and then you just hold on to that shitty old boat until you get a chance to get a new boat.
Right.
And then you upgrade. And mine keep crapping out. The first one, the lower unit went out, and the second one, it was like an engine rebuild. And both of the fixes were more expensive than I paid for the boat in the first place.
Right.
And I'm just like, F this. And the lower unit one also cracked the transom welds. So it was like getting an aluminum welder involved as well, because basically the back of the boat was like cracked.
And the transom part was, what's the transom?
The transom is the whole back of the boat.
Jesus.
So like how the boat is shaped, you got like that kind of canoe point.
Yep.
And then the back is the flat part. The transom is that black part or that back part.
Okay.
So the back of the boat, like where the welds met the sides, were cracked.
Damn.
Because of the lower unit, when it was driving, it would go and it would just jerk hard and it cracked the welds.
Damn.
Yeah, so that boat was pretty nice. I didn't mind that boat. But then the other one was like fiberglass, and it was like I didn't like the boat enough. It sat too low in the water. It was like an old bass boat that if I backed up and there was any wind, it took water on because the waves would just come up over the back of it. And I was like, oh, I'm not into this style. But both of those crapped out, and now I have just a little tiny boat. If anybody's looking for like a newer style, it's a Pelican Bass Raider is essentially what I have. It's like a 10-foot long pontoon boat. But there was like super high winds and a little boat with just a trolling motor on it. High winds are not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, you have limited power, and not to mention the size and stuff like that. Yeah,
we've been having some really any decent size of waves can come over the top and start filling this boat in, and it doesn't take many waves. I don't have like a bilge pump or anything. Like if it starts taking on water, I don't know how much water it can take on before it sinks. Maybe it won't actually ever sink, but I don't really want to try to figure that out, So especially since we have videos and I bring out a lot of electronic equipment with me. My fishing stuff can handle going underwater. The electronics, not so much.
Yeah, the stuff that is documenting what you're doing for real AF TV cameras, etc.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I didn't get out, and then I was thinking about going and fishing the river, but it's been so cold early and the water's so high. I was like, I don't even know what's going on. So I was like, I'm just going to get stuff done around the house instead of going and taking some casts at the river and maybe try again next week. So fishing opener was pretty uneventful. But I've heard it's kind of been tough for a lot of people just because it's been weird.
Yeah,
It was
because the
cold for
weather's
a
been
long
weird,
time.
right?
Yeah,
That's what you mean?
cold for a long time. Yep, and then it got hot like the last week.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then it went from like so it's still like an early spring thing to, I guess they're transitioning now because the water's heating up fast because all of a sudden it's 80.
Right, right.
So
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually like if you're hearing this and you didn't hear episode 44, go back because we talked about being an adaptive fisherman and like a lot of this came up. That was actually the reason why I thought of that topic is because our weather has been crazy up here. So you're somewhere out there in the country and you've had stable weather and your fishing opener was great. Please come and share it with us. We'll read it on the podcast if we see it fit because it's been crazy weather up here. Tim, thank you for bringing up the video. The day after this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast on the day that it comes out, go over to our YouTube channel, Real AF TV. Remember, Real Like Fish and Real. Look us up, subscribe, because we are going to be launching our first video. Finally, Real AF TV is really going to have fucking TV out there,
right.
Because Tim's crappie spawn is going to go up,
Yep.
and that was the whole reason.
Oh, and you can see the boat. Sorry to cut you off, but
No. Yeah.
If you're interested in what I'm fishing in, that's what I use in the video.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see you'll be able to see the boat. You'll be able to, not from like a wide angle or anything like, but you'll get it. You'll get it. Just hang in there for the 20 minutes or whatever it turns out to be. Or, I forget. It's about 20 minutes. It ain't that big. Nice digestible size. But the whole reason all that's connected to this is that we were going to do this topic eventually. It was going to be titled different, but I felt like it was such a good fit, and that is eaters. Like I'm talking about crappie, right? The crappie video that's about to drop on YouTube for us is eaters. I mean, you even say it in there. Like, what you're out there to do.
Oh yeah, I'm out there trying to catch those fish to eat.
Yeah, and we've talked about openers, that you've been at and stuff like that. Like we've talked about openers and walleye. We've done specific podcasts on crappie and walleye, and it's those two fish that really, I think, opener probably was for this year. Is that safe to say?
Crappie probably, yeah. Crappie kind of the spawn happened a little bit later. Like some of the other years, we have been fishing crappie that are spawning, on the opener.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember hitting some even as late as Memorial Day, but like they're just like a couple still hanging around, and that might be definitely one of these years, depending on where you're fishing, where the water is like, I think I heard like, some of the up north lakes, it was like, Final Countdown was playing in the background. Well, like, it was like Thursday and they're like, it looks like the ice is going to go off, I think.
Oh my God.
So it was like,
that's crazy.
Crunch time. It was right there.
Right.
So yeah, definitely crappie and walleye and pike too. Like,
okay.
Some people don't eat pike because they're harder to clean with the bones and stuff.
Sure.
But they're good eating fish for sure. The meat on pike is awesome. It's a nice white fish too, or the meat is like a nice clean meat, but the fish are slimier than the other ones. They stink more. And there's an extra Y bone, or like an extra bone that pokes out, and so they call it the Y bone because it kind of makes a Y, so it's more of a pain in the ass to clean.
Right. Sure.
So if you're willing to put in the time, you can get good fillets off a couple of those. Plus the limit is up to 10 fish on most lakes now. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was like 2 or 3 years ago that they changed the limit to most lakes being 10 fish a person.
Yeah, inside Minnesota. It was like, wow, holy shit. And obviously we always talk a lot in Minnesota because that's where we are and that's what we know. And that, man, you blew my mind with the pike. I had no idea. I was just like,
God damn. You gotta check your regulations because like the lake that I fish mainly is still at 5. Okay. Because they're trying to, I think, make it more of a trophy pike fishery. So they have regulations where they're like, don't keep all of them. Like we encourage you to keep most of them that are small, and you
Yeah.
can keep one that's bigger if you want to. But
Gotcha.
like the other lakes are that same thing where it's like keep 10 that are small or 9 that are small, and you can have one big one if you want to.
Right. Okay. Okay. And so for the people listening outside of Minnesota, quick, you want to go over opener, and also for the people outside of Minnesota that are listening, what is opener to you? Because Tim, what's like? Let's just clarify for the listener, like what's opener for us?
So opener for us, and from a technical standpoint, in Minnesota, opener is when you can legally keep walleye and northern pike, and you can target largemouth and smallmouth, largemouth and smallmouth, largemouth and smallmouth bass. So you
Yeah.
can target.
Okay.
I say those two specifically because, like, even though they're not technically a bass, like rock bass, white bass, those are bass technically.
Mm-hmm.
So you can fish for them anytime. Like they don't have a season.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's you can keep walleye and northern, and you can target bass, but you
Yep.
can't keep bass yet. You
Yep.
got to wait 2 weeks before you can keep bass, but most people don't keep bass anyways. They look at you crazy when you keep a bass. But if times are hard and you want to eat some fish, bass are easier to catch than walleye.
Right on.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what it is. It's
Yep.
opener is
Exactly what I think.
the midnight on Friday every year. So it's like that. I think it's like the second Saturday in May is what it
Mm-hmm.
always ends up being, pretty much. I
Okay.
think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And the crappie come along with it. Or it depends on the weather, right? Because
Yep.
crappie's always open season. Like there's no season for crappie. They're always open, but
Yep.
sometimes the crappie fall in there. And that's why I put in,
Right.
for me, as we get into more of the eaters type topic, it'll be crappie, walleye. I kind of just focused in on them because again, a lot of people don't eat pike. We'll get into that, but it's always here. It's always walleye. Oh, dude, Andrew Zimmerman responded to Andrew Zimmer. Jesus, what am I doing here? Bizarre Foods guy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He responded to one of my questions on his AMAs on his
Nice.
YouTube channel. And
Nice.
I asked, I was like, okay, I'm from Minnesota. How can we just pull the fillet off the walleye and throw the rest of the fish away? It was the sickest answer, dude. I'll put the link in the YouTube video. So if you're listening to this on Amazon, you go over to the YouTube link, or go over to YouTube and check in the description. It'll be on there. I'll link to it because he basically goes, has a head on it. The entire country. He's like, it's not just us in Minnesota because he's from here too. Now, he's like, the whole country does that. All of the United States. He's like, if a fish has a head on it, that's it. People don't like the head on it. And then he goes into he's like, here's how I like to cook it. I asked about roe, and he's like, yeah, sure. If you catch a female, and it was a great response.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, perfect, dude. I'm so excited to hear somebody with cred.
Yeah.
Back me up on my thoughts, because I watch all those travel videos and I'm just like, how come we're not? And he just goes, cooking a fish with the bone in is so good. And I'm just like,
really? Yeah. So right,
that's going on the fishing goals.
That's what they do
now
with trout and stuff.
Oh,
they'll like a trout. Yeah, because they clean it different. Like they'll just slice it down the belly, because the bone structure is different. So they'll like slice it down the belly, and then they'll like make one cut, and then they pull like the jawbone or whatever.
Oh,
and like it's just like, and like everything like comes with it. I think the spine maybe comes. I don't know, dude. Maybe they do pull out the bones like that. But they leave all the skin and like everything intact, but cooking at the bones. Okay, hold on. I'm getting a little bit off track. I gotta ask you, what did he say about the roe? Remember we caught that walleye one time, and it had some roe in it, and we were like, should we eat it? I don't know if it's safe. What did he say?
So the main thing, like that was one of my main motivations behind it. Honestly, that was one of the main motivations, because I was just like, what if you catch one with bro? You know, how come we can't just eat more of the fish? Like, it was in the question. And he goes, oh yeah, I'll take the roe. I'll just throw it in a pan, a little brown butter.
Oh, he cooks it.
Yeah.
See, I think we were thinking about like you eat it like this with sushi. You know, I never
Yeah.
thought about cooking it. Like I
Me
was
neither.
in my head, I'm like, they're gonna pop.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna fry
Yeah.
it and it's just gonna be like, "Bup, bup, 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 bup."
Yeah, and it's all gonna turn to shit, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, he has an answer, and
He's
yeah,
just
that's
like,
what it was.
oh,
So he's
dude,
he's like,
dope.
"I'll
Just
cook it
like a
up."
little. Oh my gosh, dude, you have no idea how many crappie I catch with roe in the spawn.
Yeah, and I think as long as you're
Because
just checking that the fish is fresh, which is totally part of what the research that I did, just to quick, like, not to intervene the flow, but like I went to the U of M, and I got
yeah,
all this information, and it was totally just like, yeah, if the fish looks good, eat it.
that's awesome, dude. And for those of you out there that don't know, roe is the eggs. We're talking about the fish eggs.
Yeah, we fucked that up in the last episode. So thank you for saying that, Tim, because, or was it, I can't remember if it was the last episode exactly, but it's been one of the last two episodes where we just said row and then moved on. Yeah, because we were talking about Dickhead in Indiana,
Oh yeah. Just
Dickhead
taking the
poacher
roe.
guy.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. And we just said row and moved on. But yes, thank you. Yes, it's the eggs and the egg sac, the row sac
Right,
is like, it fell out of that walleye. We didn't check. We didn't sex
right.
it.
We were
We
like
didn't
cleaning
figure
it.
out
Yeah,
whether it
we
was a
were.
male or female. We were just like, nice fucking walleye. We're gonna smoke this bitch.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird too because if I remember correctly, it was kind of like a weird time in the season. Like we were not expecting it to have any eggs, but it did.
Right.
So then
Yeah.
we were like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
And
Yep. It fell out and
for
we both were surprised. That's
right,
all I'll say about the roast
yeah,
back on that fish.
yeah. And since things were late this year for conservation purposes, just so people know, like if you're out there fishing for walleye, it's probably a good idea to try to not catch the like if you know that like the ice just went out or it's super cold where
Mhm.
you're fishing, it's probably a good idea to try to not catch the walleye on their spawn because
Yep.
walleyes have a little bit harder time spawning than some of the other fish.
Okay.
Um, Crappies, dude, different story. I do not care. I will eat them. It doesn't matter. Like they're trying to have, like they're up there to spawn, which is, they're trying to
Mhm.
lay
Mhm.
their eggs and have babies and whatever. And I'm just picking them off their beds and
Yeah.
just being like, whoop, no babies for you. It sounds kind of cruel, but it's the same as catching them in the summer, man. Like
Yeah.
I've been fishing the same lake year after year, catching my limit and then being done with it. And the population is still stellar. I'm,
Yep.
not seeing like a downsize in the fish. Like it's the same thing every year. And as a matter of fact, like I'm just finding more and more spots to catch them. I used to only catch them in like, well, I think they were always in different bays, but I'm finding them all over the place.
Yeah.
And they're like half of the spots that I fish them, like nobody else is even touching those spots.
Sure.
So I mean, everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. They
Yeah.
got good populations. I can't talk. If you're on a lake where you're like shoulder to shoulder with all the other boaters and everybody's grabbing your limit, maybe then think
Mm.
about it. If
Sure. Sure.
everybody's
Sure.
taking, 10 fish a person and you guys are just going crazy,
Yeah.
that might be a problem. But for the most part,
Yeah.
who cares? I'm just throwing that out there, you know, so
Yeah.
in case we do have new fishers
Mhm.
listening,
Mhm.
being like, should we be taking them if they're trying to have their babies? Panfish, sure. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But
Yeah.
walleyes, a little bit tougher spawners than some, which I
Mhm.
mean, and in the long run, that might not matter that much either because they stock a lot of lakes, but they don't stock lakes with full grown walleye for the most part. They stock them with yearlings, which
Yep.
are relatively small, and you got like 3 years until they're eaters. So if you
Right.
take too many of them, you're going to be catching nothing but little guys for a while.
Yeah. Right. But that's a perfect transition to eaters. Like, talk eater size, because smaller is eater in a way, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that in your hands. Because I know that you can explain that better than I can.
Right. Yeah, smaller for the species. Like you don't want it to be too little and you don't want it to be too big. Like anything that's I mean, even if you look at the regulations will help you understand them a lot. A
Mm,
lot of
good point.
places, there's like a slot limit where they're telling you can only keep in this size. It's
Mhm.
like if it's too small, you can't keep it. If it's too big, you can't keep it. We will let you have one over a certain size.
Sure.
Like off the top of my head, I always check the regulations before I go out again because
Yep.
I fish other lakes sometimes, so you forget the numbers. But I want to say,
Right, because that's also a good point again, just quickly, like, "Hey,
yeah, yeah,
remember different bodies of water, different regs sometimes, you just gotta
right,
keep it in
yep.
check."
And a lot of times, if there are special regulations on the lake, they'll post it at the boat lift, but it
Mm,
doesn't always
mhm.
say that because sometimes there's like more than one public access as well. So sometimes one has better information than the other, and you never know. A storm
Right.
came through and blew a sign over. There used to be a sign there. The DNR is not going to let you slide just because you were like, oh, the sign got knocked over. And they're like, well, that's not our fault.
Right,
You
right.
have to know what you're doing. But
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's for walleyes, I want to say, I know it's 5 fish, and I want to say it's, you can keep anything under, I want to say it's like 22 or 24 inches.
Yeah, I mean, you're going off
So
memory of the past, just you got it.
yeah, yeah. So it's like you can keep anything underneath that, and then you can keep one that's like over 26 or something. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure that these numbers aren't even close to right, but it's like that where
Right.
it's like if you end up catching one big one, we'll allow you to keep that one big fish
Yep.
if you want to.
Mhm.
Um, and then, keep the other one smaller.
Sure.
So, but
Yep.
for the most part, if you're trying to be like good conservations, like you're allowed to keep that one fish, but a lot of people that fish often won't keep that bigger fish.
Okay.
But even for me,
Yep.
sometimes when I'm like having a rough day and I get one decent one, I don't
Yeah.
know if I've ever, I think I kept one walleye over, in the big size one time to eat.
Yep.
Um, just because it wasn't doing so well.
Yeah.
After the fight, I was just like, well, it's gonna die anyways, I think.
Ah,
So
sure,
I'm just
sure.
gonna,
Yep.
no point in wasting these giant, beautiful fillets. But yeah,
Right.
like you said, eater fish are smaller, but like for the species, but
Right.
that's kind of up to your discretion as well. Um,
Yeah.
when they're talking about like smaller fish best for the population, if you can handle it, catching your limit of like smaller fish and harvesting all those is going to be better for the population as a whole because the bigger fish have better odds of mating, they can lay more eggs and all this other stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
But obviously nobody wants to clean a bunch of little tiny ones, so like
Right.
even in the crappie video you'll see I catch one that's a little bit small, I go, he's going back.
Right.
And then there was one that was big, and I was a little bit iffy on it, and then I kept it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it
But
ended up being your limit sort of situation, like, if when you'll see in the video how it kind of unfolds.
yeah, yeah, and I ended up running out of minnows, so it was like that one. They're they're healthy fish. They can handle being in captivity for a while, especially since I had it in a basket, so it's in open flowing water. It's
Right.
basically just in a jail cell in its
Right.
own habitat. Like it's not
Yep.
that bad for the fish. It has space to move.
Right.
And that big one, I probably would have let go if I could have caught more small ones. But I ran out of
Yep.
minnows, and then I was like, well, I'm keeping all of these. So,
Right.
so it all depends on your situation. But yeah, for the most part, eaters are just trying to keep that nice size. Like I think a
Yeah,
lot
like a
of
nice middle size almost, right, too? Because
yeah,
I say small, but I said smaller, and I meant smaller as in, like, you don't wanna keep the giants, you don't wanna keep the trophies, you like,
right.
typically, that's not necessarily the good eater, and for, the purpose of what I'm talking about, going when I went to the U of M, I looked up some EPA stuff, some NOAA stuff, like, I was looking into all this stuff, is like, fish got mercury in them. Fish got
Yeah.
PCBs in them. Like, the bigger they are, the more time that they've had to build up these chemicals in them, these chemicals that aren't really good for you at all.
Right.
The bigger they are, the more time they've had to build that stuff up, is what I'm trying to say. And so, like,
Yep.
not only is letting that trophy, or we'll say trophy, or that big walleye go good for the population of the fish, it's kind of like, just don't eat it. That one's been eaten for a while. That one's been
Yeah.
ingesting the smaller panfish for a while, and it's had more time to build up the mercury in its meat.
Yep. Yeah, and the body of water can also influence, how much stuff they
Yep.
have in it.
Sure.
Like the
Yep.
lake eye fish is nice clear water with no natural inlets. Like it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
those fish I trust to be clean. The
Sure.
Mississippi River, where I'm fishing next to the one time I went out there and got a little bit of footage on a the box of a butt plug or something. Like you're fishing next to that random garbage, and the water's just filthy, and who knows where all that runoff's coming from, because of the
Uh-huh.
the winter, the ice melt and the snow that's pulling all this crap into the river as it melts and stuff. So some of the bodies of water are definitely different, but just get
For sure.
to back to the size of the fish. Like a crappie, general rule of thumb, kind of like 10 to 12 inches in there.
Nice.
That's kind of what you're trying to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 14-inch fish is a very nice fish, and you can still keep it if you want to. There's no rule that says you got to throw it away.
Right.
It's just that, like, when you're catching, a couple of 14-inch fish, some of those are like, that's better to throw back than not. But again, your
Mm-hmm.
call. And then with walleye, I think right around like 18-inch, 19-inch, those are like perfect eater size fish.
Yeah.
Maybe like down to 15 even. Like you still, because of the walleye's body structure, even some of
Yeah.
those smaller ones, like a 15-inch fish, that's still a decent fillet. You're still gonna get good
Mm-hmm.
meat off of it.
Yeah, they can still get wide, for sure.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
and they're long. It's from that tail fin to the front. The
Right.
body shape is kind of
Yeah.
like a little torpedo. So
I was
you're
gonna say
getting,
they're, yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly what I was gonna say. They really have a pointy, kind of longer head on them. And to go back to the beginning, when it's like, cook it with the bones in and head on, like, fuck it, it'd be good. There's a lot of
yeah,
fish there in the head of the. I'm not saying that it's gonna make a difference in the, how much food you get off of it. Sure, cut it off. But I'm making a point that there's a lot there in the head. Cheeks,
mm-hmm.
all right? You're not going
Oh,
to really get a cheek out of a crappie, but you will out of a
out of a
walleye
walleye.
typically, right?
Yep. The smaller ones are still a little bit hard, but they're like little tiny pearls. That big one I had, they were
Mm-hmm.
like freshwater oysters. I think that's
Damn,
what they
yo.
even call them. Yeah, they're good, nice texture, and it's just a one singular muscle. It's not flaky like the rest of it. Because it's just
Yeah,
that
that
muscle
big
that's been.
ball. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Also, I don't want to make this like sound negative or whatever, because like I brought up the PCBs already and the mercury and stuff like that. We'll talk about that more. Fish is really good to eat. I'm not trying to make this sound like
Right.
a shitty
Yeah.
situation. Like,
I
ew,
may.
everything's
I'm.
polluted. Humans are fucking up the water. Don't eat fresh fish. No, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy like that. All
I.
the heart health and the B vitamins and the omega-3s and all that shit. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There's a lot
fish
of
are
good in
great,
it
just so
too.
you
Yep.
know. But
Yeah. I may have said this on the podcast before. I can't remember. But there's an episode of Sea Lab 2021
yeah,
from back in the day where I believe like Stormy electrocutes himself or something, and then he's like unconscious and he's in this dream state. And there's like this whale talking. It's not a whale. It's like just another big fish talking to another fish, and
mhm.
he's got a low voice, and he's just like, "Did you know that the average fish has more mercury in it than an anal thermometer? Would you eat an anal thermometer?" And then the little fish is just like, "No." And then the big fish just goes, "I would." And then eats the little fish.
Oh my god, I do not remember that episode. That is hilarious. I would laugh harder, but I'm still recovering from 2 weeks of Just congestion. It'll sound horrible on the mic. So I would.
That just inhales them.
It sounds like you've talked about that before on the podcast or not talking about fish, but god damn, that's funny. So let's talk about mercury. Actually, the methyl mercury is what is typically found in fish. I guess that is the more lethal version of mercury. I don't know. Like there's also different versions of water. Like there's a such thing as heavy water. So I didn't get into that far.
Makes sense. Like I don't know what that is, but I know that there's hard and soft water.
Right.
So I would, yeah, I guess like.
So
it doesn't shock me, but I've never heard of it. So
yeah, so I guess it's methyl mercury technically, and that's the real bad shit, I guess. But it's a heavy metal. Like it's a heavy metal, and fleshy bodies don't do good with heavy metal. Like that's pretty much what it boils down to. It's like, yeah, man has figured out a way to harvest mercury, and fuck, it got in the water system.
right.
But the good news is you can usually get rid of it. That's pretty much what my research said. Is just like, if you're healthy and you're good and you're for some reason eating so much fish that you get mercury poisoning, just stop. Your body should take care of it. I was like, whoa, shit, dude. I didn't know that. I thought you were fucked.
No, I've heard of that too. Like you can get super sick, and if it keeps going on, then you're screwed. But for the most part, I just heard about like a little bit of this mercury poisoning because I heard that there was a FedEx driver that had a hazmat, like a hazardous material box that was mislabeled, and it was like a just normal box or whatever, and he was going to like lift it up, and it like popped open on him, and all the shit fell on him, and it was like all the recycled pieces from the old thermostats, because all the old thermostats have the liquid mercury in it, because you know whatever heat it gets to is how that like moves. That's how you set the thermostat. So yeah, and he like opened that up, and like all these like recycled pieces of little mercury like poured all over him, so he's got like liquid mercury like raining down on his head.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then they're just like, well, yeah, and I guess they shut down the whole plant. They're like, we need to not ship out packages until we get this shit figured out. We can't have more people getting mercury poisoning because people don't know how to mark their boxes correctly.
Jesus Christ, dude, that's fucked up.
Yeah, so go fishing. Your odds of mercury poisoning are
way less than that. And the other thing that the worry here with, you know, getting into the bigger fish, eating more of the bigger fish, we'll say, is the PCBs, which this is my favorite definition, and I grabbed this one. This is a group of man-made organic chemicals consisting of carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine. No, that's chlorine atoms. And I was like, organic, huh?
Organic.
That sucks. Oh, so you can just spray these things on your organic food? It's cool.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's still like, organic.
It's organic. That's the first thing that popped into my head. It's organic. Did you not just spray a bunch of chemicals on them? They're organic chemicals.
So
idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, those, you know, it's just another one of those things. And it was crazy to read about that because it's like, it's a liquid. It's also like basically wax. It's not flammable, has a high boiling point. It's very chemically stable. You're just like, yeah, well, I see how it was very useful. Like, it's just non-reactive. Like it doesn't fuck around. It just doesn't, it's just itself, and that's it. But that's also why it was so widely used. But they don't make it anymore. It was only from 29 to 79. But of course, you know, 1979 wasn't as long ago as you might want to think it is. It's still, you know, fucking with the fish.
So not to derail this a little bit, but I almost choked on my soda. And anybody watching on YouTube, I would like to explain myself, because sometimes in my head I'm thinking about stuff and I crack myself up. So What in my head, I was picturing like somebody looking at some tomatoes, and it's like an organic farm, or like you could apples, whatever you want to fill in. They're just like looking. They get to pick their own at this organic farm, and they're looking at them, and they're like all shiny and stuff. And they're like, "What? I thought these were organic. Like these." Not supposed to shine. This is not.
It shouldn't be
And then
that
I
shit.
just pictured like some dude with like a like 80s like hair band mullet style thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's just like heavy metals, totally organic. Woo! And then, woo! Call it heavy metal.
Every middle. And then slaps you in the face with 3 titties.
Right. Brum, brum, brum. So yeah, sorry. I know it wasn't like the funniest thing in the world, but just in my head,
You were taking a
that's
sip at the right
I
time
was
when
taking
that
a
hit your
sip,
head.
and then my dumb brain goes, "What about this?"
Just to be clear, those are not that heavy metal. Like the PCP, it's not organic.
The
Don't take the
PCB.
yellow PCP. It's the bad stuff. It's the green one you want.
The angel dust.
No, the PCBs are not mercury. It's the PCBs and mercury that are together. Like those are the two chemical groups that build up in fish. So it's separate.
Right.
But I get where your brain was going.
Yeah. Oh, I just pictured like heavy metals being organic. That's all I was talking about.
Oh, okay, I got you. I
Yeah.
got you.
Just
I got you.
it's after you said it was organic, then I like my brain was just like, "Oh, whole new world here." And it just happens so fast, and sometimes I catch myself off guard where it's just such a dumb idea.
So
I don't
dumb.
know. So dumb.
You're just like, well, I got to go with it. So with you being the more avid fisherman and going out on opener
Mhm.
more often, or catching the crappie spawn whatever time of
Yep.
year it is, eating more fish than me out of the
Yeah.
lake, out of bodies of water that are out there. It was like going through this, I'm looking at all the research and I'm just like, well, it really boils down to like most people are good if you're eating 2 meals of fish a week. Even you, Tim, are
Right.
you eating more than two fish meals a week?
Nah, my wife doesn't really care for fish, so it's
Yeah.
kind of I'm really only eating fish when I'm around my parents, which in the summer is like most weekends. So we'll fry fish during the
Mm-hmm.
weekends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah, no, she's not into fish, so I don't eat fish at home a lot.
Yeah.
But I'll
No,
keep
me
it
neither.
and keep it in the freezer, and then I'll cook it up and stuff. So but no, yeah, not a lot. I like to
Yeah.
try to keep everything like I don't really try to eat anything twice in 1 week.
Right. I hear you.
You know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so I'm
That's exactly.
always
So when I saw that, I was just like, damn, are people really going out and catching fish? Like, do you catch your meal every day? If you do, please come tell us.
yeah,
It's
dude,
really
like if
if.tv/contact.
if I was single, I bet I would eat fish a lot more
Yeah.
because well, it's for me essentially, I mean, I don't need to pay anything. I can go catch fish
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with just the fishing license, buy that
Mm-hmm.
license.
Yeah.
I'll probably go buy more bait and stuff, but I don't need to. I can go catch the fish without it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was single, for sure. If I was single, honestly, like I'd probably have a dope boat. So daycare is expensive, but
Yeah, for real, for real.
but yeah, for sure I would eat more fish. But like I'd still probably try to keep it in that same guideline. I don't think I'd be trying to toe that line where I'd just be like, hey, if I eat 3 or 4 meals a day and then I get mercury poison, I'll just back it off a little bit. Like I'd try to not get mercury poisoning.
Right, for sure. I mean, and with the PCBs, again, I'm not trying to beg on, w- generally speaking, we don't know a ton of what the PCBs could be because the way it's studied, it's hard to specifically tie it to it. It's one of those situations. But like, it's probably a carcinogen, just given all the results that we have so far. It messes with your nerves like mercury, immunity, your gland system, all this shit. You'll feel like shit for sure.
Right, right, right,
And those
right.
PCBs are not something that we necessarily think we can get rid of, like the mercury, which is good. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but still, fishing is good. Eating the fish is good. I'm not trying to be the downer ass person because the majority of people are good. It's really about people who are trying to get pregnant, kids under
Oh, yeah.
15, and kids under 15, because those are the things. It's just like everything you read about this PCBs, of course, the mercury, the heavy metals, like it fucks with development.
Mhm.
So anyone under 15, right, still in that
Yeah.
like heavy development stage.
There's
People
a
trying to get
lot of
pregnant, of course,
there's a
all
lot of
development.
stuff.
That is development.
Right, there's a lot of stuff for development that you should do your best to try to keep an eye out. I know that I'm not the best at it, but like I just heard this last week that I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but there are so many microplastics in all the food and stuff. I don't know if it
Oh
gets
yeah,
better if you go organic and stuff, but there's so many
no, it's
microplastics
not.
that the average person
Yep,
ingests a credit card worth of plastic a week.
a week. Holy
Dude,
shit.
a credit
Yeah,
card worth of plastic a week.
I didn't hear that, but yes, I have. I
Yeah.
have heard about that, and it's all because of the it.
And
It's
I thought that like amount was crazy. Like, no,
yeah,
that's crazy. And then like I looked into it myself too.
yep,
And what I found on Google was that. So maybe the sources I found were wrong, but that's what they were saying.
yeah,
So
yeah,
just
and it's
gnarly
because of the
stuff.
process, right? Like
Yeah. And the
the
plastics can
factory has a machine that packages the spinach into a plastic package that throws a
right,
plastic
right.
wrapper on top
Yep.
of it, and it glues it to the top. And inside the glue, there's plastics that keep it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh fuck, yeah,
Yeah. I was thinking about
you're
that the other
right.
day when I was like,
That
yeah, I
like
got that
fresh
easy
off the.
open. I got
Yep.
like the easy open like string cheese, and there's like
Yeah.
those little plastic strings, and you're like, I think that got on the cheese, and then you're like looking at the cheese, and you're like, I can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
And then you eat it, and you're like, I didn't taste it, and it went down fine, but I
Yeah.
probably ate plastic,
Yep.
you know? So yeah,
PCBs,
microplastics
same
everywhere.
thing. Same
And I
thing.
heard that the
It's like the same thing.
microplastics can like, cause weird stuff in
Yep.
development. So yeah, it's
We're
development is we're just not meant to be eating plastic, so it's gonna do shit to you, you know?
yeah. We're talking the same thing.
Right.
100%. We're talking
Yep.
the same thing. The thing is it's probably easier to get microplastics than it is to get PCBs out of fish.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's seriously what my research came down to is
Yeah.
like really it's not super bad. In fact, like even in people who are under 15 in pregnancy situations, they were just like have a serving of crappie every week. Like just have one serving of crappie every week.
Okay. Yeah.
You
That's
know what I
easy.
mean? That
Yeah.
serving of crappie does not have a credit card worth of plastic in it
No,
unless
it's
you were
like
just
only it's like the size of a credit card but thicker. I think the same with fish is the same with any meat, and they say like a serving is like the size of a deck of cards.
for fish.
I think it's like with every meat, with
Oh,
steak and
with every
fish and
meat.
everything.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
I
I think
did.
the
Oh, go ahead.
oh, did it say?
Yeah, so I got serving size. There was a serving size. So just so you know, the Minnesota DNR, and I'll put this in the link. I'll put this link in the description of the YouTube video too. They have, um, sort of like an eating guide. It's a weird way to put
Okay.
it, but they
Yeah.
have a guide. And it's the Minnesota DNR. So I don't know, if you're listening in Kansas and if they have one or not, but hey, whatever, check out what the Minnesota DNR's research has turned up. But essentially, it just boils down to like the serving size is based on your weight, your person, like
Oh,
you as a person. So like
then
if you're 170 pounds, a serving size is 9 ounces before it's cooked. So like raw 9 ounces of fish.
okay. That's probably like 4 fillets if you're looking at like a small.
Yeah.
Wait, was that half pound of meat?
9 ounces is over half pound because right? Because
Oh yeah,
9 is
16. Yeah.
18. 9
Yeah.
times 2 is 18. A pound is
Yep.
16.
Yep.
So you're looking at close though. So just do the quick
Yeah.
back of the napkin in your head. What were you?
Yeah,
Because
so
that
probably
was where I need you.
yeah, so
What do you
probably
think
like
that is?
yeah, probably like 2 or 3 fillets depending on the size of the fish. Maybe 4, if you're talking like sunfish or
Hmm.
bluegill,
Hmm.
probably 4 for sure. Um I would say crappie, like a good sized crappie, maybe 2, depending on how good the person filleting is. And then yeah, like a walleye, you could get that much off of one fillet for sure. And then
Sure.
that's probably the healthiest for you anyways, depending on how you
What's that?
cook it. Get that walleye out, make sure it's nice and dry.
Yeah.
Parmesan crust that thing, cooking in the oven.
Oh,
That's
hell yeah.
probably the healthiest
It
way you could
is
eat it.
actually because they recommend poach, broil, or grill
Yeah, because
because
everything kind of like runs and drips out of it.
yeah, 100%. You're right because that is the thing is like all of this. It's just like where all that shit's getting stored in the fat. So
Yep.
if you let that fat boil out or, do whatever. So I did find I did find a source that was like, well, don't deep fry that shit. And I was like, well, yeah, because you're deep frying it in fat. Where's the fat going to go? And then,
Yeah, you're sealing
well,
it in.
I saw a source too that was like, deep fry it. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
really?
fuck. Yeah. So I got
Just do it.
contradictory
I
information on
mean,
deep frying.
I think it's probably because like you are sealing that stuff in, but I think they're, taking in account that you don't have to cook it out. They're probably giving you those numbers like you can have this much fish and you'll be okay. Seal it
Ah,
in. You're going to
uh
be all
huh.
right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not the person that wrote this. I don't know for sure, but it sounds like if you cook it in the
Yeah.
oven or broil it, you can have a little bit more.
You can eat as much as you want. Yeah. No, I'm totally like that's our interpretation of it. Of course, we're not the fucking University of Minnesota by any
Right.
means,
No,
but
I'm no
100%,
scientist.
I get what you're saying. Is there like the research shows, you poach it, broil it, all that stuff. You get all the fat that you can off of it, but you trim it down when you're filleting it. You take the fillets and you start trimming it down. You do all that you're lessening the amount. So yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I
Yeah.
hear that too, especially being grown men. Like we're just kind of
Right.
like we're grown adults. We can handle this stuff more, or we're already full of it. So fuck it.
Oh yeah, dude. I I will
We
eat.
have a different way of looking at it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing too that I was thinking about when you said it. You're like, "Oh, don't eat fish more than 2 times a week." And I'm like, "What if I eat 2 meals worth of fish in one day?" Like in one
Yeah.
sitting. What does that do? Because
Yeah.
that's how I normally roll. Like we just fry up a bunch of fish. And
Hmm.
then most of the time, everybody else eats less than I do. And then we're kind of sitting there. And my mom's always got, the
Hmm.
stuff on a tray. And she always lines a cake pan with paper towels. And then
Yeah.
there's just a bunch
To
of
drain
fish
it.
in there. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Do you want more before I put it in the fridge?" And I'm always like, probably. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
you're like, "I
Yeah.
don't know if I want more." And she's like, "There's a little bit of baked beans left. If you don't eat those, I'm just going to throw them away." And I'm like, "Well, then I'm going to need some chips." And I'm scooped in baked beans like they're dip with my fish chips.
Fish and
So
chips.
fish and chips, but my chips are fish and my dip is baked beans. But
Yep. Well, and also the two things a week was a super generalization because when you
right,
actually get into like the eating guidelines or whatever, they just go panfish and 15 and up, not trying to get pregnant. Fuck
right.
it.
Yeah,
Fuck it. Who
yeah,
cares? Like it
yeah,
literally just had no limit on
yeah.
it. I
And
just
they're
wrote down
all
no
right,
worries.
and they're all generalizations. Everything should be, at your own discretion. Try to do your research and
Yeah,
stuff because
of
it's
course.
like
Yes.
2 servings of fish out of the lake I fish, perfectly fine. 4 servings, even if they're like you should eat 2, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Where if it's like one serving of fish out of the Mississippi, I'm just no thank you. I'm not gonna eat that at all.
For
You know?
sure. This is totally one of those situations where what I'm trying to do is just bring this
Oh,
research to the table to say, like, hey, looky here. Here's what a bunch of research has showed. But of
yes.
course, like, it's like I'm not here to tell anybody to do fucking anything.
Right.
That's
And
not my
since
point. It's just, hey, here's some stuff. Do with it what
yeah,
you
did
will.
you have anything about parasites?
So no, the parasites was not in here
Okay.
other than it did say here's what a good fish is. And that's where I wanted you to really bring in your firsthand experience. And
Oh,
that's
sure.
so you're making perfect because signs of a good fish, firm flesh, red
Yeah.
gills, bright eyes, it doesn't smell bad. I'm like, all
Right.
these things, how does a fish coming out of the lake have any of those things?
I've caught fungusy fish before. They're disgusting. I don't even want to touch
Yeah.
them.
Because to me, I'm just like, how does a fresh fish, how does something swimming around alive have any of those, have those checked off? How is that not on the list? What the fuck? So please.
Yeah, dude, there's some weird fungus stuff that happens to fish sometimes where they'll have just like crap growing on them or they get something in their gills or something. I
Hmm.
hate it. It's so gross. Like I don't even want to
Oh,
touch
sure
them.
it is.
There's just like this weird shit growing on the side of the fish, you know? They look like they're furry and you're like this
Oh,
fish
oh,
don't get furry, but it's like
yeah.
patchy, you know? It's not like the whole fish. You're just like something's wrong with this. So I haven't seen a whole lot of issues with that. Obviously, when you see something where the fish looks unwell when you catch
Yeah.
it, like you said,
Yeah.
if the gills aren't red, like their
Hmm.
gills are bright red. I've never seen anything other than bright red because maybe
Yeah.
the gills are different color on those fungusy fish, but I don't even mess with them. Like I'm not trying to touch them. Most of the time, I'm trying to grab a player's, grab the
And
hook and
shake
shake
that.
that thing off. I don't want to touch it. Like I don't know what you got, but I don't want to even come close to it.
Right,
So
right, right.
it's not super common, but yeah, because most of the time those sick fish won't bite on anything. Like there's
Oh, I
something
never
wrong with
thought
them.
about that, but like
Yeah.
they're
I've seen them
sick.
swim. Yeah, I've seen some of them swimming around like a crappie midsummer in like 2 feet of water where you're like, why are you here? And then you look at them closer and you're like, oh, you're dead pretty much. You're just a
Oh,
zombie. You are swimming and you don't know where you are.
ew.
And yeah, yeah, there's some weird stuff out there sometimes. Um, But when you fillet the fish, because sometimes the fish look perfectly healthy, everything's fine with them.
Like
Look at the meat.
the things that we said, like it feels good. It's got red gills, like
Yeah,
even tight.
feels.
It was tight. They described it as like tight scales. I guess the scales can get flaky.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Where like,
So
yeah, if the scales
yeah.
are coming off weird,
Hmm.
probably has something wrong with it. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
make sense.
So it checks all the good boxes, and
Yeah.
then you start filleting it, and
So
what
when you
happens?
fillet it, sometimes like look at the meat itself because the fish can seem perfectly fine and still have parasites
Mm,
that actually
right.
get into the meat.
Mm,
Sometimes there's like little wormy things in there. I've only seen pictures of them for the most part. I think one
okay.
time I saw a fish that had it where you kind of see, and they're almost the same color as the meat. It's not like they hide
Damn.
super well. You just have to look at the meat a little while. You
Okay.
know, if
Hmm.
it's nice and clean and you don't have to worry about it, you're good to go. But there's
Yeah.
other times where when I was growing up, I was told they were iron deposits because sometimes
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
most likely you catch them in bluegill and you cut the fillet off and there's little black dots all over the place.
Yep.
Now, you know, we were talking about like pregnant people and stuff, you know, younger
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
Oh, excuse me, that one came out of nowhere. But I would try to not probably if you're pregnant or you know developing just to be
Hmm.
safe,
Hmm.
especially like with a pregnant person. No
Hmm.
reason in risking that, but those little black things are technically parasites. Even though
Mm.
I've been told that they are iron deposits, I think people say that to try to make you at ease because the thing is, when you cook the fish properly, those
Yep.
little tiny black parasites die with the meat. So
Yep.
you're eating parasites, but they're dead.
Sure.
So I mean, that's, I guess, up to your discretion and how much you can
Right.
handle. Like, if you're okay
Right.
with it, like,
Right.
it's just like a yeah, I suppose I would say microscopic. It's big enough to see the black dot in the white flesh, but you
But you
can't
don't
make
actually
out that
see
it's
the
like
like
a
animal or
bug or whatever.
whatever.
Yeah, if you look at it
Yeah.
under a microscope, I don't know what it looks like, but it dies off when you cook it, and
Right.
it's safe to eat after you eat that. But
Hmm.
yeah, there are some parasites that are like, don't ingest this even when the fish is cooked properly. And those are like the clear, or not the
Right.
clear, but the like when the worm, where it looks like a worm,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff like, do not mess with
Don't.
that fish. So I guess rule of thumb, if you're pregnant, do your research on what you're eating before you eat it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Especially if
good
you're
point. We've
catching,
been through that, right,
yeah,
with our
especially if
wives.
you're catching it yourself,
Yeah, yep, yeah,
there's
especially if you're going out and harvesting it, like, whether it be, birds or deer or it doesn't really matter, but
yeah, and
for sure,
and then
know what you're getting into, right?
yeah,
Like,
know what you're
don't
getting
just go
into
and
and know where it's sourced. That's the same thing as like when you're eating meat at like a Walmart or whatever.
Yep.
Those Some of that stuff comes from like big uh plant sites
Mhm,
where there's cross contamination possible, and
mhm.
it's like when you cook it, everything's fine. That's why it has the instructions on it.
Right,
But some
right.
places,
Yes.
because it's coming straight from the source and everything's been clean,
Yeah.
that's the stuff where you can go eat beef tartare, where
That's
it's
what I was
raw
gonna say,
beef
dude.
and
Hell yeah,
it's
you got it.
okay because the
Yep,
people took care of
yep.
everything while they were making it. So,
While it was yep, it just wasn't pushed through like a plant worker. And it's nothing against those. We need those to feed America, but the point still stands is that, like, if you're going to eat that kind of thing, know where it came. If you're going to eat that
right.
meat raw, know where it came from in the
Yeah,
first place,
yep.
sort of
Yeah,
situation.
and I was going to say like it's the same thing. Like when you're going to a high-end sushi restaurant, you have faith that their meat is top shelf, good quality, it was taken
Right.
care of, because they
Yep.
know
Yep.
that if they feed you something wrong, everybody's going to get sick.
Yep.
And if everybody gets sick, the reviews are going to be terrible. Like it's
Yep.
not going
Right.
to
And
go over
nobody's going to
well.
come back.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even myself, knowing that I caught the fish and pulled it out of the like lake,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
still not okay with just eating like raw bluegill because I don't know all
Yeah.
the rules. I have faith in the people at the sushi restaurant that they know what they're doing, because I don't.
Yeah.
When it comes to raw fish, I don't.
Right, right. Actually, dude, that is something that quick we'll go over here at the end because of the pickled pike bites that I have on
Mm,
the list. Want to do
okay.
pickled pike bites, and pike, bigger fish, predator fish, right? Like, has the
Hmm.
ability to build its way up, So whatever, okay. We know what we're looking for when it comes to eaters anyway. But the point is like, cook 145 or 0 for 48 hours, even in pickling, is what I read. So pickling is just putting it in a high acid thing, right?
Yeah.
And basically
Yep.
letting the acid do the work. That's what steak tartare is.
Oh, okay.
Steak tartare, you technically are supposed to acid cook it, right? Like, you put a bunch of lemon on it or vinegar or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. All
Like,
right. I get it.
that's
Yeah.
what my understanding of most, if I haven't done steak tartare before, but my understanding of most of them is that. Um
Sure.
so the short version of what I'm trying to say is we're going to do pickled pike bites, but
Yeah, dude.
I guess we're gonna have to freeze that motherfucker first. It did say
Okay.
you could simmer it too. You could simmer it in, because when you make pickling, liquid, you typically boil it anyway or get it simmering for a while.
Sure.
And it's just like, well, throw it in that then. And I'm like, I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Just let it cook in.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of just let it
Yeah.
poach in the liquid itself, and then you pour you. So we're gonna do a video on it, dude. I really think we
Okay.
will. I think we can do this video, but
Yeah,
I'm
for
just glad
sure.
that you brought it up that way, because I think it's a good thing to end on, because I wanted to bring it up, because even 0, right?
Right.
It means that it's been handled well. So in my
Yeah,
head, I'm
because
kind of
that's
like, man,
still.
I might eat a frozen bluegill. I might eat raw
Yeah.
bluegill if it's been frozen for 48 hours.
If it's been frozen, I never even thought about it like that. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that they say that's what they say about your blue jeans. Like that, because
What?
like bacteria can like cause the stinks and stuff. And
Oh, yeah,
because
I've
of
heard
the
this
like
before.
the denim's not supposed to be like washed or whatever, so your high
I've
end
heard about
denim you're
this.
just supposed to like throw in the freezer.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that like kills the bacteria that's in your pants, and then it's like you don't have to wash them because you killed everything in the freezer, and then you don't mess up your denim or whatever. I don't have
You
high
don't
end
get
denim.
dirt on it, I
I
guess.
throw it
Like,
in the
I don't
washing machine. I don't know.
The dirt's still gonna be there. I'm just
Yeah,
saying the dirt's still gonna be there.
I'm
But
wearing Wranglers, bro.
Wranglers can't even get dirt in them, damn it.
Wranglers love dirt. You know what I'm saying?
They
I
get
get a
better
little
with
bit.
dirt in them.
They get better with dirt. I, I they get a little bit dirty. All of a sudden, you see my Wranglers just throwing up the W. Wrangler.
Wrangler. Oh shit. All right, man. Well, I hope that was useful. I hope that was, not scary. I didn't mean it to be, because presenting facts can be scary, but it's just like you gotta just step back from it, and it's just
Yeah.
it ain't that bad. Remember, if you're
No,
15
no,
and
no,
up and
no.
you're not in a pregnancy situation, nobody's saying that panfish are a problem.
Right.
Just
I
I
just
want,
random side note. I literally was just talking to a dude about catching herring uh
yeah,
that like run, and you just
yeah.
go and scoop them with a net, I guess. And I was like,
Cool.
did not know that that's how it works. I'm gonna have to
Nope.
try that. And he says, just remember to bite the head off the first one. Kind of a tradition.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, dude, just bite the head off the first one you ever get.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you'll be all right. If it's a tradition, it's not something that's gone on for years and years because they're just been like, oh, you hear about John? Bit the first one, got that Merc.
Got merch from that Merc, yo.
No, that's fine. You're good. You can bite the head off a live fish.
Oh shit. That's awesome. All right, Tim. We're going to talk about mobile games. We've talked about Pokemon Go
Yes.
before, but we're going to talk about mobile
Mhm.
games. We're going to get into, because what a thing that has become in our lifetime. I guess video games have become a thing in our lifetime. Either way, fuck it. Hit the break. We're going to talk mobile games. Hey, everybody. We have a link to Monster Bass. That's right. If you go to realaf.tv/Monster Bass, it will shoot you over to the Monster Bass website, and it will let them know that we, the Real AF TV podcast, sent you, and you can help out the Real AF TV podcast by doing that.
That's right.
It's like a subscription service. You could maybe buy
sure.
one. I don't know enough about it, and that's why I'm going to pass the mic to Tim.
You can go to their website and buy individual lures and set yourself up with other stuff, and they hook you up with deals once you become a member. You can get onto their like emailing list and their phone thing. I get text messages, free bait Friday, and then it tells you about the bait that you can get free that you add with your order if you want, or they have a discounts. This is awesome. But the subscription boxes that they have are in bags, which is cool because it comes in a bag, but they call it a box, so it's a little bit of a mind meld. But the bags are awesome because you can reuse them. They're nice resealable bags and stuff, and they come with a bunch of baits in it for where you live. If you live in Minnesota, they're setting you up with things that work in Minnesota. If you live in Florida, they're setting you up with things that live in Florida.
Yeah.
And they are setting you up with high quality baits that work for bass fishing. And they're setting you up with the terminal tackle and stuff to use too. Like if you get some worms, they're hooking you up with the hooks and weights that go with it. So if you're a new fisherman It's like getting Christmas every month or your birthday, whichever one you like more. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you have a new fisherman that you want to gift this thing to, man, is it a good gift to give somebody, because
For sure.
they are getting hooked up with stuff that they know will work, and maybe they don't know how to use this stuff, but you're never going to know how to use any of it until you try. And they are giving you the quality equipment that you are being set up for success. Now you just got to get out there and use it. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, that's why I always pass it to you, because I couldn't say it better. Literally, I could not say that better. and sitting on this end, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to realaf.tv/monsterbass and hook me up with some of that gear.
That's right. I'm thinking about subscribing twice.
And that's one of the things, that we talk about here on Real AF TV all the time, is just like, there are ways to get set up for success, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you can do a lot with a little, and even 1 month of Monster Bass can help you do that, is kind of the way that you sell it.
Sure, yeah, because they're hooking you up. They're not normally setting you up with just one, kind of bait or whatever.
Yeah.
They do sometimes have like a specialty month, so I don't want to say that that's never going to happen, because I haven't seen like all crankbaits, but I have seen like, it's a Strike King takeover where you get all Strike King, but Strike King makes great baits and you're going to get Strike King stuff across the board.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah, it's fantastic stuff, and they're definitely going to be setting you up for success. And just kind of, this doesn't have much to do with the ad read, but next time I should bring a bag on and show you guys what it looks like. I have the bags. They're out in the garage. I'm not going to run and go get it right now.
Or you can go to realaf.tv/monsterbass and you can sign up and you can experience one for yourself.
That's right. Just get one. Then That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, but I think you should definitely bring one onto the podcast next time. But remember, Real AF, Real Like Fishing Reel, realaf.tv/monsterbass, and you can help support the podcast and get some cool shit.
Yes, for sure.
Patreon.com/realaftv. That's right, patreon.com/realaftv. I always like to start it with the URL, but the truth is that we do have a Patreon page, and you can get to it by going to realaf.tv/Patreon, or direct link is patreon.com/realaftv. Remember, real like fishing reel. And we're just throwing this out there because we want to build a different kind of fishing community, a fishing community that we haven't been able to find on the internet. So we said, fuck it, we're going to build it ourselves. And that is why we started up a few different tiers on patreon.com/realaftv. And you can directly support the podcast, and also videos are going live. We told you we were going to have them, but we need more support because that stuff is way more difficult to produce. Not that producing a podcast is easy, but Tim, you understand what I'm trying to say, right?
Oh, for sure.
Does the listener understand? They do, right?
I think they understand. I mean, we have a camera set up in a room,
Yeah.
And it's got to be pretty obvious that it's a lot less work to just sit in front of a camera than it is to rig up a boat with a bunch of cameras and then bring in that and then edit together multi-cameras where we just have one camera that we talk in front of the whole time. Like I think it's, even if you never thought about it before, if you think about it now, is obvious that it's a little bit tougher to put together a video than it is to put together a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. And we have as little as $1 over on patreon.com, and that will just get you joined up on to the Patreon group, right? When we post, you can be in the comments. You're in the comments with other people who are on Patreon. It's all this sort of like building of a group, but we also have something as big as $50 or $20 if you wanted to go up to that. And each tier has different perks that we will, that we release to the community, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'd like, just going back to the film and the videos and stuff and the editing. Another thing that helps us out is like we're really trying to put together quality content for everybody out there. We're not trying to talk smack about other people, but we're trying to put together like the best audio and the best video and put it all together in a nice package so it's like easy to watch and easy to listen to.
Right.
You know, where that's where the time and effort comes in, because there's 100%. Stuff that's been filmed before and you just go, well, that can't be seen. That was terrible, you know?
Right. The audio was bad. We had a bug on the lens the whole time. There's just it was way too windy. Even the lapel mic didn't work. So that day's shot, and we just archived the footage.
Yep, exactly. So that's why, you know, the Patreon really comes in handy, you know, to if we could get some assistance, that would be much appreciated, because we want to do more of this, and the more assistance we have, the better we can get at this, and the more opportunities it opens up for us, so we can get out there on the days that aren't windy instead of having to deal with whatever days we happen to get.
Right. And that's all in an effort to try to bring you, the listener, better, and the watcher, better quality stuff, or good quality stuff, right? And we need your help to help build this up. And so you, in a way, are the people helping build Real AF TV into the quality 100%. Venture that me and Tim have set out to make it already, I guess, you know, like by the stuff that we put out. It's not just GoPros on windy days with unedited audio.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to shit on those people. Good for them for putting out content. But it's not what we're going for. And so become a part of, building Real AF TV into something bigger than it is today by going to patreon.com/realaftv. And remember, stuff's still going to be free.
Yep.
Patreon is the next level.
Exactly. Yep. Just a way to help us out if you're feeling what we're throwing down.
For sure. Welcome back to the Real AF TV podcast, show about fishing random takes from land, and lake. And if you're watching this on Friday, then not welcome back. Welcome. This is a podcast that drops every other Monday, but you happen to find it on our off week when it drops all by itself on Friday. Thank you. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, but also go over to Spotify and look up the Real AF TV podcast. You'll see a full 2 hours probably. And maybe you're not looking for something that long. That's why you came over here to YouTube. But
for the random take,
if
half the steak,
you are hanging in there with us for the full podcast, and you just came over from us talking about eating fish and all that good stuff, we're going to talk mobile games now.
That's right.
Mobile games. Tim, this is something that has developed in our lifetime. We watched this come from nothing to something.
Oh my goodness. For sure. Mobile in general has went from nothing to something. I remember getting a phone where you got the internet, and it was like, I have the internet right here. This is crazy. And it sucked. And because too, they didn't have like proper keyboards. So when you're trying to type stuff in, you're like hitting the same button 3 times. Y'all kids don't even know about that. Where it's like
T9 motherfuckers. What do you even know about that, kids?
Beep, 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 and then you went past the letter once. Damn shit. You got to go back around. Oh man. That was nightmare.
The worst.
But you could Google something, then it would take forever. But then you had to like pay for the amount of like the data and stuff could get crazy charges super fast, because everything was higher amounts of data back then.
Right.
Or not necessarily higher amounts of data, but the amount of data that you got was considered to be way more back in the day.
Yeah, but you're not wrong either, because websites weren't mobile friendly at all. So they weren't doing anything special to the code or the website, or however, you want to go ahead and define that. But as the person that does that stuff, they were just feeding you a full on website, and they didn't care because they weren't making it for mobile. They were making it for computers, and it didn't matter. And so, yeah,
Right.
you were using up even more data then, even though now we have unlimited
Okay.
data. The website was probably bigger,
Right. Right.
which
Yeah.
is crazy to think about. But anyways,
Yeah.
we're not necessarily here to talk about the internet of it. We're here to talk about games. And I wanted
Right.
to talk specifically about games with you because we game. We've already done a full episode
Oh yeah.
on Pokemon Go, which
Right.
is the epitome of a mobile game. That game couldn't exist anywhere else. Literally.
Oh
Like, think
no.
about it, right?
No. No, it for sure could not. There's no other way you could.
Yeah.
You have to have the mobile connection because you have to be mobile to
Right.
play that game. I
Yeah.
mean, you can play it in your house, but it sucks. You catch the two Pokemon that's in your front yard, and then you wait for more to spawn.
Yeah.
Where if you keep moving, they keep popping up.
Well, in
Yeah.
the physical, the digital interactions with the physical world, right? Like, oh,
Right.
here's this park. There's a thing there.
Yeah.
You have to be at that park. You have to go
Yeah.
and walk with your phone in your pocket in order to hatch eggs, in order to get
Right.
candies, right?
Yep. Yeah. And it's remarkable. That's one of the biggest. I think that was the biggest game changer in recent years was
Mm-hmm.
that VR. Because I tried playing
AR.
Niantic.
Sorry.
Oh yes, AR. Sorry,
AR.
yes, augmented reality,
Yep.
not virtual. Yes,
You got it. You got
but
it.
um, when what was the first one called? It
What
was by
Niantic?
Niantic as well. What'd you say?
Oh, yeah. No, it was. I was gonna say Niantic's game.
It
Yeah.
was it was like a
Um,
geo
it was
something.
It was like a geocaching sort of
Yes.
game,
Yep.
right? Was it geocaching
Yeah.
where you walked around and it was like fake, not fake. It was digital geocaching. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you would go to stops, much like how Pokemon Go now has the stops where you could go to the stops and you could spin the stops
Yep.
and whatever. It was like you would go to these spots and then you would kind of like leave. It was like a digital
Yep. A
like
digital
footprint or
version.
whatever. And then like
Mhm.
you could go and like other people could gather it and whatever. And it was
Yeah.
kind of cool. Like I'm like that was crazy where it was just like, no, you guys don't even understand. I take out my phone and then it shows me this map and I have to walk to the spot.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
after you do it, you're kind of like, what's the point of this? Like, how much further can I go with this? But, but then Pokemon Go comes out and they're just like, no, you walk around and Pokemon spawn in the world and then you catch it.
Yeah.
And that shit caught fire, dude. It was
Yeah, dude.
crazy. So many
Hmm.
people played it.
Because
And
it
then they
used the
tried it.
camera on your phone to
Yeah.
spawn these pocket monsters that you've been fucking stoked on since you were 9, and now
Right.
they're there standing in front of you on the baseball field at the park that you're at. You're like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah.
Taking pictures next to him, like, fucking taking
Right.
selfies with Charizard. Like, you were fucking stoked on that because it was using your camera, it was using your location. It's fucking sick. It is. It's still doing all that shit. And
Yeah.
there's just no way to port that experience. There just is
Right.
no way. It'd be shit.
No. Yeah. And it's just like nobody has been able to recreate the same thing. Like Pokemon is such a beloved game that it's been so
Right.
dope when it came out. Niantic tried with another one with Harry Potter
Mhm.
and it was okay. But there's probably
But it
still
bit the
Harry
dust.
Potter fans out there that are playing and try to tell you that that's better than Pokemon Go because they like Harry Potter more. And it's just,
Right.
whatever you're into. They also had like a dinosaur one. There was a Jurassic Park one
I was gonna
where
say
there was
Jurassic Park, but I don't think that was Niantic, was it?
no, that wasn't Niantic. That was somebody
Right.
else, and I didn't
Yeah.
really play it much, but
Okay.
I
You gave
tried
it
a
a
little
shot though,
bit.
huh?
Yeah, I gave it a shot. I gave a lot of them a shot when I heard that there was a new one coming out because
Yep.
it's cool, but
Yep.
there's nothing that compares because Pokemon is such a dope game in itself. To
Yeah.
make another version of a
Right.
fantastic game already,
Right.
it's hard to beat it. So
Yeah,
I
for
think there
sure.
was a lot of Pokemon Go changed the game, but there's been mobile gaming for a while because the mobile gaming has been
Yeah.
dope for a long time, depending on what kind of games you like. Puzzle games have been around forever,
Right.
you know?
Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I've been playing mobile games for a long time, but man, when the AR stuff started coming out, that was just a game changer because
Yeah.
you go it made it too where you start playing in different areas. You went from like I got nothing to do. I'm sitting in the waiting room of the doctor's office or whatever you're doing. I'm trying to kill time. I'm gonna play this
Right.
puzzle game.
Yep. Yep.
Now
Yep.
you're like, I'm gonna go for a walk to play my game. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm killing
Mm-hmm.
two birds. I'm gonna have fun while I go
Right.
on my walk. My walk is now enhanced
Right.
because I'm looking at my Pokemon Go app and it's showing that there's a Charizard in the wild,
Yep.
which doesn't happen, and it
Yep.
doesn't tell me where in the wild. So I'm just gonna walk around and
I'm just
hope it
gonna
pops
start
out.
walking.
And it's never told you where it is. So anybody, that used to play that bullshit or still thinks that they're just like, oh, but what if you're like in your neighbor's backyard? Get out of your neighbor's backyard. What are you doing?
They're not there.
They're
They're not in
not
your
there.
fucking neighbor's backyard.
They're in the main areas and they always have been. They're in
Right.
the busiest spots. The
Yes.
busiest spots
Yeah.
with the most foot traffic is where you're gonna find all the good shit.
Right. Yeah. They're not in
Don't
your
be
fucking neighbor's backyard.
no, don't be
Don't be
creeping
weird.
in.
But yeah,
And
you
also
no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
What were
was
you
just
gonna
gonna
say?
say also they're not that big of a deal. Nothing
Right.
in this game is like I've never seen it before, you know?
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna jump 3 fences and fucking swim across this lake. Like
Yeah,
it's just
because
not.
the
It's not
the
that.
name of the game is you gotta catch them all. Catching one doesn't do you much. You gotta catch a bunch of every kind,
Right.
and
Right.
that's where it comes in. So, not
Yeah.
trying to go off on Pokemon Go again, but
No, no. But you're making all the points is that like it's really changed a lot lately because we were there when fucking Snake was on your black and white LED screen, right? Like we had Game Boys
oh
that was
yeah,
mobile gaming, and that's not
yeah,
the version of mobile gaming that I'm talking about here. It's like, yeah, mobile gaming's been around for a long time, but dude, it really kicked off in the early 2000s with like puzzle games, right? You got Tetris in full color, like a real deal version of Tetris for like the first time in your hands. And
right,
and it worked. It worked fine. It worked great. You got these like, upgraded versions of Game Boy games, or in some cases, Game Boy games straight up, um,
right,
because the phone's capable of it. But
yeah, dude,
that's exactly where this whole topic for me was going to go. Is like, dude, you know that our phones are like more powerful than a PS2 now, even a
yeah, dude,
PS3 for the most part.
yeah, yeah. It's insane,
Yeah,
insane. The
it's
processing power.
crazy.
When you start up your phone, this thing can do so much, and it starts up
Yeah.
so much faster
Oh
than
my god.
the consoles did.
Yeah.
And the consoles only had one task for the most part. Y-
Boot this disc.
Yeah, right. And your phone's just doing all this different stuff. It's like,
All this different shit.
oh, I'm connecting the Bluetooth to your drive and save on your car because I'm
Mhm.
going to track your driving as you go to make sure you get a discount. Also, it's going to open up all these different apps and stuff. Side note, I hope it doesn't hit me with any stuff, but I do have that drive and save
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, you were unsafe. What is it? Like distracted driving because you were looking at your phone. No,
Oh,
I
it
wasn't.
knows it.
My kid was playing with my phone in the fucking car seat while I was
Right,
driving the
right.
truck.
It's like I handed it to him so he'd shut the fuck up while I was going to the
Yeah,
grocery
he's
store.
using my phone. Like I'm not using it. That's not fair.
That's not fair. I don't have enough money for 3 of these
Ingress.
motherfuckers.
Sorry if anybody's been watching me look down at my phone here. I knew that there was a shirt in Pokemon Go that you could put. So I was like scrolling through Pokemon Go clothing because you can close your avatar or whatever.
Yep, yep.
Ingress was the name of that like geocaching.
Oh, was it?
INGRESS because you can get
Ingress.
the like shirt with the symbol on there. It was called
Ah,
Ingress.
Sick, dude. Good
Yeah.
good looking out. Yeah. So shout out to Ingress, the
Yeah.
game that came before Pokemon Go.
Right. The game that set everything underway, and they're like, I think it's almost like we kind of worked out the bugs and how AR would
Mhm.
work, and now it's time to put some pocket monsters in there.
Yeah, dude. And that we watched that not troubleshooting, but we almost watched the demo days happen. You remember when the Android store was just like drops of crazy shit and you're like, what the fuck is this? But like there wasn't that much stuff on there, so you just
Oh
like
yeah.
download random game like the puzzle games like you were saying, because those were kind of just like easy swipe games, or like
Yeah.
what are those, like seek games, seeks or something. What am I trying to say?
Mm, I don't
hidden
know.
hidden item games, that's what we can call them. Like you would try to find the hidden item and you would just kind of click on it, or you'd have to like rotate your phone just the right direction to see it. It was starting to use the
Oh,
gyro of the
sure.
phone. It's like
Okay.
find these 12 items, and then you'd have to hold your phone and find it, and like
Right.
10 out of 12 are super easy to find, and then turns out if you tilt your phone 12 degrees left,
Right, right.
the other
Yep.
things appear, shit like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Trying to mess. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I remember like when all this stuff first started hitting, like
Hmm.
speaking of the store, where back in the day when you bought the phone, you'd just be
Hmm.
pumped on what it came with. You
Right,
know?
like
You'd just be
Snake.
like, dude, yeah, dude, this has Snake. That's pretty cool. Like I can kill time with that. Or
Sick.
whatever other, you get like another game and you'd be like, this is kind of cool. Like you had 3 games.
Right,
And then when
three.
the app
Uh-huh.
stores had stuff and you're just like, I can just put a new game on my phone and I don't have to pay anything for it. I just get
Yeah,
to play this for real.
right,
And then you like think something's up, and like, for a while there, you're kind of skeptical. You're like, well, what's
for
their
sure.
end game? Is this
Right,
gonna like shut down my phone? Are they trying to like, is this a virus? Why is it
right,
free? How come I don't have to pay for it?
right, yeah.
And then you're like, and then you realize, oh, they're getting paid for the ads,
Yep,
you know?
because the first time you start to see ads and you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
Oh, I get it. The ads suck, but
Right.
this game didn't cost me anything. So whatever.
So, yes, I put up with the ads.
Yeah, well, I guess. And then they got wise to it and they're just like, you don't want the ads? You can just pay us. We make money off the ads, but if you don't want the ads, you can just give us money.
Right. It's
And you're like,
5.99, just pay us.
yeah, I don't really care about this game enough.
Well, I
Keep
guess
the
the
ads,
ads.
please.
Yeah, dude. And so the you're making a good point about the free and play, because I didn't even have that in my notes, and how that has sort of bled into the consoles now, right? Like that's how video gaming, when in the early 2000s, late 90s, when we were really getting into it, right? It was you buy a console, you buy a game, it was done, and
Mm-hmm.
that was it. Like you
Yep.
paid 40, 50, $60 for it. You put
Yep.
it in the console, it read it, and you played it, and it was it. That was done. And now it's just like Apex Legends is free. Fortnite's free. There's all these
Right.
free, like the biggest games in the fucking
Warzone.
world are console games that don't cost you a dime to download.
Right.
And that's totally because of mobile gaming. Like look
Right.
how it has transformed the video game landscape in
For
general.
sure. Yeah, it's crazy. And then like there's no such thing as a hard disk for some of these games. Like it doesn't
Right?
exist.
Yeah.
And the
Buy
only thing
Fortnite
that,
physical. Can't.
yeah, I think there's like physical stuff you can purchase, but
There
it's
is, yeah.
like it's giving you
It's a
all
code.
the in-game purchases without having to like put a credit card in and go through like the in-game purchase stuff. It's just
Yep.
like here's your purchases
Yep. It
straight
comes
off
in
the
a
bat
case, and then you open up the case and there's a piece of paper with a number on it.
with a number on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Yeah. See, I'm not
100% what it is.
I've never bought it, so I didn't know, but that's what I kind of figured because I've got, like the collector's edition stuff. where you get
Uh,
your physical copy and then here's your code is the
Oh,
collector's edition stuff,
right. Yeah, you're not
you know?
specifically talking about Fortnite in this case, but you're talking about
Right.
like I got the collector's edition of The Last of Us, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, okay, for
Yep.
sure.
Where you
Yeah.
get you get your custom skins to let everybody know that I balled out, bro.
Yep, yep. That's 100% what it is. That's no doubt. That's exactly what it is. The skins and stuff like that is funny that you bring it up because that's how like all the free console games are making their money, right?
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
even mobile games now, right? That's how they're making their skins. They'll just team up with like just what you said, the avatar from Niantic's first game, right?
Yeah.
You put that skin on it, but also there's a sweet fucking Snorlax shirt.
Right.
You have to pay 199 for it. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You have to pay 199 just straight up. You have to give us $2 to get that shirt. And the old model was, oh, you want just buy the $10 more expensive game and we'll give you other stuff. Now those still happen. Don't get me wrong. Collector's
Right.
editions are still 100% a thing. But now it's just like here's this thing for 199 and here's this
Yeah.
thing for 199. It's like every month there's something new for 199.
Oh,
Again,
they
100%
do it
from mobile gaming. Like
100%, and they do it with almost everything.
yeah.
With console gaming, Mortal Kombat, you're like, here's the regular game.
Yeah.
And then like a little while in, they're just like, hey, we made Jason Voorhees, like from the Friday the 13th movies,
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what you can do is put him in the game. He's got his whole set of finishing moves. It's only $4.99. Did you want the
Only
Jason? You're
499.
like, oh, yeah, Jason's pretty fucking cool, man. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, what's Jason without getting a little bit of Freddy? You know what I'm saying? Freddy Krueger's in here too. Also $4.99. We'll throw them both in right now. $6.99. 2-for-1 deal. $6.99. Oh,
Two
dang.
on
Yeah. Oh, shit.
shit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. $6.99. Yeah. Give me them both.
Fine. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And it's all that part of console gaming came from mobile gaming because these people like dude, Angry Birds, like
Yeah.
fucking huge. I was obsessed with that game because of what they did because they didn't do anything that new. What they did is they created something at the right time for the right device that everybody had
Yeah.
and they made it fucking look cool.
Very, very much so. And
There
the
were games
idea
like
of
that
it,
out. They just
just
made it look cool. They made it
yeah.
sound cool too, don't forget.
Yeah. And you just have to come up with like a cool premise. What a cool premise to just
Yes.
be like, you take this bird and then you knock that shit over. Why? Pigs or whatever.
The
Knock it
pigs made
over.
him angry?
Yeah, the pigs
Mhm.
made him angry. My son calls them mad birds.
Fuck yes.
I love it.
That is
Because they got the
awesome.
movies too. He's like, can we watch Mad Birds? Yeah, dude. We can watch Mad Birds.
Sure, sure. We can watch Mad Birds. It's like Mad Men except for with birds. They're all the birds are just drinking
Yeah.
scotch and selling ads. I don't know.
Well, and so the mobile gaming and stuff made everybody realize too, or made all the developers realize that what happens in the games is your whole goal is to progress, you know? And
Right.
some of these games, like I don't play Candy Crush, but I know that they have like, I don't know, like a million levels. So
Sure.
everything's
Probably.
about continuously progressing, getting farther and farther and farther in these games.
Mhm.
And then they're like, well, what if we don't make it so you have to pay to be able to progress? But we give you incentives that make it easier to progress if you give us a
Mm,
little bit of money.
yes.
And then people that
Yes.
want to get through faster, they can pay a little bit of
Mhm.
money. And that's what they've ran with everything. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and it works, and it's perfect because that's the
Yep.
whole thing. Pokemon Go, like you said before, with the walking to hatch the eggs, they have incubators that are like better than the regular one, where
Right.
they're like, oh, you only have to walk half the distance.
Half the distance.
Where you're
Mhm.
like, so if I put this many coins in, I can walk 5 kilometers to hatch a 10-kilometer egg, and the 10-kilometer eggs are usually dope shit.
Right.
And you can get
Yep.
incubators with coins, but it takes you a while to get coins because you actually physically have to fight a gym. But if you pay money,
Right.
you can just have all the coins you want right away. You
Yep.
still have to walk to hatch the eggs. There's no
Right.
shortcut in that,
Right.
except for getting an incubator, which you
That
need to
helps
get
you
coins.
shortcut
And
that.
if you buy the coins, you can get a bunch of incubators and cook a
Yeah.
bunch of them really fast. And it's
Yep.
just like that for everything.
Yep.
There's the raid passes and all that other stuff. You put money into it, you can get your game going faster. And
Yeah.
it's funny to see the flip side, or not the flip side, but to see the people that
Mhm.
you play with sometimes, and to see the different stats, and to
Yeah.
see where they're sitting, and you're like,
Yep.
oh, you 100% put a lot of money into this,
Right.
because you see their level, and you see the amount that they've like walked, and the amount of Pokemon that they've caught and
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
And you're like, the only way you got to this level is because you've been paying money to do raids and stuff,
Yep. Yep.
which
You've
is
been throwing
not.
money at it.
Yeah, you to do the high XP number of
Yeah.
things that you're doing is
Yep.
throwing money at it.
Right.
And it's funny to see that, where you're just like, I've been grinding since it
R
came out,
right.
and
Yeah.
we're the
And
same level
right.
because I
And
don't want to spend money like you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm having this moment right now as you're saying all this that makes me go, they reimagined the arcade.
Oh yeah.
They rethought, they figured out a different way to do the arcade thing.
Yeah.
Because the
Uh-huh.
whole thing about the arcade is you'd pay and you'd go and you'd go and you'd go. And if you were good, you never had to pay more.
Right.
You just played. You just were good
Mhm.
at it. But to get good, you had to fucking pay.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
that's the
It
arcade
totally makes
model.
sense. Yeah, because you're playing and then you die, and then it's either like, give us more money and you can keep going from right where you're at,
Yep.
or that's the end of this game. And
Or
you're like,
yep.
oh, damn it, damn it, damn it. No, give me a quarter. Give me a quarter.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Right,
that,
exactly.
that
Oh,
totally
and
makes
then you
sense.
walk
Where,
away and you're like, ran out of quarters today.
right.
You're gonna be back in 3 days, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
pump in quarters, and you're gonna get better, and you just keep it, and it's kind of like, shit, man, that's what they did. They rethought the arcade, and I wonder
Yeah.
if people who didn't grow up with the arcade, with our version of buy the game, grind it out, like JRPGs, right? Like you buy the game, you get really far, and then at some point you just have to grind until you can beat the game.
Right.
We have a more of a grind mentality, I think,
Oh,
or
yeah.
like a tolerance for grinding where it's just
Yeah.
like, I wonder if people are just like, oh no, I'm not gonna grind, because now
Right.
this is one of the questions I've written down. It's like, who's a gamer anymore? Everybody's a fucking gamer, but like,
Right.
because we were OG gamers, do we have a different way of interacting now? I don't know. Like,
That makes sense. Yeah. I didn't really think about it until you just said it now, but for sure, it's almost like the question's not who's a gamer, it's like who's a grinder,
fuck. Good
which
point.
is
Not Grinder the
sounds.
app, but like,
Yeah, yeah, we're not talking about, you know, I'm not trying to hook up with other dudes, but I'm sure that app works fine too. That's not the kind of apps we're talking about.
right, right.
Actually,
But now
sounds
what we're
like that
talking about,
one.
I'm sure
It
that
sounds like
works
that
great.
one actually works better than the other dating apps. But I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So I don't know. I'm not trying any of them. But the I forgot about what we were talking about. Oh, grinding. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
grinding. Um, so yeah, dude, that totally makes sense because I remember like with even the regular Pokemon, getting it on like Game Boy and stuff. Like
Yeah.
when you're getting into Pokemon, I knew for sure that I would catch a couple of good ones, and I wouldn't move on from that spot. I'd get a couple of good Pokemon, and I'd be like, I got a good base here. I got a grass. I got a grass type. I got a fire type. If you're not familiar with Pokemon, the different types are, strong and weak against different stuff. So you're
Mhm.
trying to build them up and you're like, this is
Mhm.
going to come in handy. Even if these aren't my end alls, I'm going to stay in this little grass field, run into wild Pokemon
Mhm.
and get these things up to like 11 or 12. So when I encounter trainers later, I
Yep.
can beat them and get their money and gain more stuff. So
Yeah,
like
and
right away,
progress.
right away out the gate, I'm like grinder mentality where like I'm going to get some of these low end Pokemon up to a acceptable level, and
Mhm.
then we'll progress forward.
Right.
Where today's kids are just like, all right, I'm starting the game. What's the point? I need to get coins. I need to do this. How much do coins cost? Oh, mom, can you buy me coins?
Yep.
I need to play this game. And it's
Yep.
just like,
Yep.
that wasn't a thing back in the day. It was just
No,
like,
no,
once you
no.
got the game, you were set.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I do. That's a really good point. It's just like it's not who's a gamer because like everybody's a gamer now. Like you have a
Right.
fucking phone, you game. Like
Yeah.
so what is the term gamer, in quotes as I do finger quotes is like what does
Yeah.
that even mean anymore? But it's just like who's who still hits these shits old school, I
Right.
think is the question of like
Yeah.
that's what we're
Yep.
talking about. That shit,
And
man.
it
Yeah.
and it pretty much goes back to what I was saying even. Like I didn't even think about it till just now, but I was even saying it was funny to like catch people that aren't grinders, you know?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be like, I'm looking at your game and I know that you
Oh,
paid for your money. Ha, that's
yeah, yeah.
funny. We're
Like
the
us
same
us who've
level.
been doing this shit since NES to look at these people now on your brand like most current version of your Galaxy, right? You can look at
Right.
them and you go like, "Oh yeah,
And
that
because you
person never
understand
touched a Nintendo."
right, right. And because you understand them in like the numbers and everything, you're like the only
Yeah.
way you did this was with money, you
Yeah,
know? So
because
the
you're playing the game different ways. Like you understand the game's functions almost. Like you
right,
understand how the game actually works. You've
right.
done this enough and you can pick it apart and go, "Oh, I know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of that's even crazy to me that like that's even enjoyable for people.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I think you're kind of taking the fun out of it, like
Mhm,
with
mhm.
Pokemon Go, part of the fun is grinding it out, like
Yeah.
you're catching the Pokemon, you have to catch so many to be able to evolve the Pokemon in this
Mhm.
form of Pokemon Go. You get candies and you catch the Pokemon, you have to catch so many of them
Right.
to evolve it to its next stage, and then you get
Mhm.
more candy to evolve it to its next stage if it happens to evolve twice or whatever.
Yeah.
And all that grinding and stuff. And if you're just paying money to be able to like level up XP and stuff, and you're doing the raids and you're getting all the legendaries and you're like skipping to the like most powerful Pokemon that are basically the end, or you're doing raids that are like the fully evolved form. You didn't have to work to, get
Yeah.
to evolve one.
Right.
It's like
Because you
some of
got it
these,
in that the
yeah,
by fighting that with 5 other friends, you
yeah,
got to the 3rd level. And I didn't even think about it till right now, but, like, if you joined us for the fishing half and then you stumbled into the mobile game part and you're listening to this and you're like, "I don't really play games, it's like grinding." I didn't even think about it, but, like, grinding is just that's putting in time to get
yeah,
to the next level, right? That's like
right,
putting in the time, putting in the work so that way like a typical 3rd level of a Pokemon takes 26 hours to get to, or you could pay $2.99 and you can just get that 3rd level Pokemon straight
right,
away. Or you can go to a very popular location, say Mall of America, and there's 40 people doing a fight against the 3rd level Pokemon. You
right,
have you've gotten 2 first level Pokemon, and then you go to the Mall of America, you gather 50 people, and you get the 3rd level Pokemon just by being at the Mall of America. Now,
right,
I'm not saying that's a illegitimate 3rd level Pokemon. What I'm saying is that may be the only few that means you only open up Pokemon Go a couple times. And now you can just, oh, I got a Charizard. Check me out. 3rd level the 3rd evolution of a Pokemon. And you're like, cool. So where's the middle one? Well, I don't have that one. Yeah.
right.
Okay. I know how you're playing the
All
game. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how we can
Also,
identify.
yeah, and the level. your character's level.
Yeah, because you
Your
level up your
third,
character
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Right.
If you have a good Pokemon, but your character's level isn't that high, then the level of your Pokemon is not that high.
Right.
So my Pokemon are stronger than your Pokemon, even though we have the exact same Pokemon.
Right. Just
Because
because you have the
mine,
third level, the third evolution Pokemon doesn't mean it's
right.
strong. Doesn't mean it's a good one, depending
Yeah.
on how you play the game.
Yeah. So when you're talking
Yeah.
about video games and especially like that RPG style of like leveling up and everything, like
Yep.
everything gets better with the grind. And there's ways to cheat
Yep.
the system to go past it, but some of that stuff is like there's nothing else you can do but grind it out.
Right.
You
Right.
know, even those people that are paying money, they're still out there grinding because they're doing a lot of raids and stuff. But
Mhm.
they have to like find other people and set stuff up. They're kind of shortcutting the line. It's taking less time to get out
Yeah.
there and go and do it and stuff. But you know, kind of putting it into like that fishing analogy, like grinding, it's like if you want to learn how to do it on your own and get good and just be able to go out there and be like, I know how to do this, I can get it done,
Yeah.
then
Mhm.
that grinding, there's a way to skip the line and go pay a charter
Yep.
and you guys can go out, but it's not as gratifying to have somebody else be like, I baited the hook, I put us on the fish,
Right.
I drove the
Right.
boat, we just pulled a bait behind the boat, and when the thing bit on, you reeled it in. It's still cool to be like, look what I got,
Right. Yep.
but because somebody else put you on the fish, it's not as gratifying. When
Yep.
you do that grind and you finally get to the end game and you did it, you're just like,
And you did it.
oh, I
Right.
did it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. I knew that's where you were gonna go, and that's 100% what it is, and mobile gaming has changed that for sure, that landscape of, like, the
Oh,
grinding in the games, and so and controllers too. That was one thing I wanted to talk to you about because I game different than you in the
yep.
sense of, like, I have different controllers. I bought Sony phones specifically so my DualShock 4 will connect to my phone, and people like Rockstar release Max Payne that ran on a PS2. They'll release it on a phone now because, of course, your phone can handle it. Like I said earlier, PS2, PS3
Right,
even
right.
now is not more powerful than or your phone's more powerful than even a PS3 at this point.
Yeah,
And so I controller game on my phone, and I think it's fucking sick to
yeah,
play these controller games, but they're not the like that's not what mobile gaming is. That's a
right.
rarity. Do you use a
Yeah.
controller at all? And
No, I've thought about it a lot, but I've never actually like went through with like getting a controller and setting it up. But
yeah.
I've thought about it, like some of the games where I definitely see like this would be sick because some of the games
Mhm.
are just annoying. You know, like cuz you can download like there's Call of Duties on here that are pretty darn legit.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
PUBG
PUBG
Mobile,
Mobile, uh-huh.
Fortnite is on your phone.
Fortnite, full
All the
on version of Fortnite. It's a full version of Fortnite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and those would be sick to have a controller with because
yeah.
when you're trying to do it on your phone, it's like especially when you're trying to do it with like a joystick and you push like too far to the right or whatever, then you have to like move your hand back
Move it back, yeah.
to get it
Mhm.
to where you're trying to go. Where if you have the sticks, like that's not happening. When you push it one way, it's going that way.
Right, right, right.
So I've definitely saw some flaws with just trying to use the phone where I'm like, man, it would be sick to have a controller here, but
Yep.
I don't
But it
sit
takes
around.
another level of, like, gamer or person or investment. Like, it's another level. Get the
It
controller,
is.
connect
It
the
is.
controller, make sure it's the right controller. Will the game be compatible with it? Like,
Yep.
it I'm a
Yeah.
troubleshooting IT kinda guy. I hang in there for that stuff, but it's not
Sure.
easy. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, and I don't that's one of the things where it's like I'm too analytical where
Yeah.
if I decided that I was going to like, I think this controller will work with this game,
Mhm.
I got like a week's worth of research before I pull the trigger on anything.
For sure. Yep. I totally understand what you're saying there. I completely get it. But it's just it's just one of those situations where it's like mobile gaming has changed gaming in general, right? And that's
Mhm.
all I wanted to say. that's all I wanted to have a conversation about with you and just talk about it, because we've been gaming forever and we
Yep.
haven't really talked about like the games that we play on our phones and how that has changed us identifying
Yeah.
as gamers, you know?
Well, and the like graphics and everything that have changed and what you
Yeah.
could do with it. Like
Yeah.
I have on the Game Boy, I have on Game Boy Color, I have
Oh, nice.
Pokemon,
Nice. Nice.
the trading card game on
Yeah.
Game Boy.
Sick, dude.
And I remember playing that, but like not really knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
I play Pokemon, the trading card game, online on my phone now, and
Yeah.
that app is
Online.
dope. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah, dude.
has it like when you do your moves, it has like cool little graphics that it does depending on the type that you're using to attack. And
Yeah.
when you evolve the Pokemon, like you have your card and you put the evolution card on there and it like spins around. It's like and it has
Sick,
sound
dude.
effects and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to play. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if you could concede on that other one, but if you're like getting your ass kicked and you know you're gonna lose, you can just be like, I give up. Like you don't have to stick in there until they like completely dismantle your whole team. You're like, yeah, I don't
Right.
have time to do this shit.
Right. Right.
Where like
Right.
those
Yeah.
old games were like, I gotta get to a spot where I can save. I guess
Gotta
I
get
gotta
to the
let
save
this.
point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
gotta
yeah, for sure,
gotta
and now
try
it's
to.
just like, hit the power button quick, and I'll come back to it later.
Right, right. Or just close the app. Super simple. Just hit the button that opens up the app, swipe it away, and then
Right.
on their screen it's like you win, and on our screen it's the game's just not there until I'm ready
Yep.
to play it again. Like
You're just
it's
done, and now
dope.
you're checking out at Target, like
Right, right. Yeah.
like, I was gonna fucking
There
lose anyway, so time to check
right,
out.
right. Yep. Yeah, there's some pretty dope games that are out there, and like you said, like PS2, PS3, like for some of the kids that might sound like old systems, those games are still plenty good.
They still play
PS3
great for
especially.
sure, dude. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I have PS2 games. I'm playing fucking Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on my phone, and it's dope,
Yeah,
dude. And
dude.
it looks better and runs better than it.
Right.
There are different physics. People will get into asshole things, but it doesn't matter. Generally speaking, it looks and plays better. And I just hook a controller to my phone and I fucking go.
Yeah, dude. That's
It's
awesome.
sick. Yeah.
Yep.
Super
And
dope.
when you have like uh accounts on different devices, you can just log in, like play
Yes.
wherever.
Yep.
Or like or you don't have,
Crossplay, cross
somebody
save.
else has it and you don't have it and you want to show them and you're like, well, you'd have to start here. If you want, I can log into mine on your phone real quick and show you what it looks like
Mhm.
later,
Yeah.
and you can get a feel for it and see if you want to play it, because I think
Yeah.
it's dope.
Right.
Stuff like that where you would have had to like, oh, dude, I got it. Let me bring over my system real quick. We'll hook it up to your TV. We'll sit down and play it.
Yep.
And now it's like I can show you what the game is like in a park. You
Yeah.
know.
Right, right, for sure. Where we used to go through all that stuff as like gamers, console gamers from, way back. We used to do that stuff, bring over our memory cards and all that shit.
Oh
And now
yeah.
it's just like,
Uh huh.
oh yeah, my my mom does that stuff now. It's crazy.
Right. Right. Oh
It's
yeah.
wild. All right, man. Well, that I think is a very good way to end mobile gaming. That it's not entirely true, but you know how we got to do it, because you got to do the obligatory stuff where you go to like Real AF TV. That's right, fishing real, realaf.tv, and you can find us there. It'll find you the 2022 goals that we set for ourselves at the beginning of the year. It'll find you our Instagram page, our Facebook, our Twitter, all of that stuff. It'll also help you find the contact page so we can get your input and feedback on the podcast. Hopefully, this shorter version of the random take is what you're looking for. Still going to be a long podcast. That's just what we do. Me and Tim like to talk.
Right.
Tim, what am I missing? I'm missing something.
Review. If you could review
Yes.
stuff on Apple iTunes or Amazon the app or
Spotify, the app. I think Amazon.
Spotify the app, right? Amazon.
Maybe.
like you could just I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Review it if you're listening someplace that lets you review it.
Yeah.
And
Well
with the
put.
contact stuff, if you want to let us know anything, if you're like, we think we would like this or we would like that, or even with the Patreon stuff, if
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I would
Mm-hmm.
pay for this,
Right. We
let
can
us
change
know
our
that.
tiers. They're not locked
Yeah.
in. We're
For
down.
sure. We can change some stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well put. Well
So,
put. Oh, and the video. Go over to YouTube. Look up Real AF TV.
oh,
Remember, Real Life Fishing Real
that's right.
AF TV on
Yes.
YouTube, because we're about to drop crappie spawn video.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast in real time, otherwise it might be there already if you go over there.
Right.
Because that is the other part. We're not
And
just
do
a
all that
podcast.
YouTube stuff over there. If you like what you're seeing on that YouTube video, do the whole click the subscribe button, they got that notification bell so you know
Yeah.
when we'll
Jesus, I
drop
forgot about
another video. If that comes soon, hopefully it will. We're trying to
that.
get everything more streamlined so we can get stuff out
Yep.
where it's not like we're dropping a crappie spawn video that I shot last year, this year.
Sometimes that's how production goes, though. But
It is how production
I
goes.
understand what you're saying is that more real time, or just more regularity to it would be nice, but it's hard with the quality that we're trying to do. The fact that we're remote,
yeah.
you're mostly shooting on your own, and then I'm editing and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, and there's a whole gamut of things. Getting out there is another story.
Yeah.
You can't just edit a video without actually going out there and fishing. So,
that's a really, really good point. But
yep.
Tim, you know what I did forget to mention in the gaming segment was,
yeah.
oh my God, did that create a place